Okay. We did it. We're live. What is up? Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. If you're watching as a VOD. Wonderful day, morning, whatever it is. I'm having a great one. Can't complain. Don't mind my chaos. There's some type of brain process going on here, I promise. It's not just chaos. I promise. Just copy this real fast. Okay. So, unlike I promised, I didn't have any time to do any planning. As per usual, seems my life these days. But I started a drawing, and then my wife and I found a job that I'd be really well fit for. So then I started working on a resume all day today, and then we went on Marketplace and bought my son a birthday present. We got him a big kitchen. What's up, Velocity? How's it going? So I was putting together a kitchen and cleaning it, and it's chaos. As per usual, I always plan to have time to do stuff, and then there's never any time to do anything. A rough life. Is there a bike in your room so I can ride it? It's on a trainer, so I can pedal inside when it's 30 degrees out. Have you not seen it? That's been in there for at least 6 to 8 months, maybe longer. Every stream. When I'm standing, you don't see it as much, so that might be one thing. But yeah, it's been there for a minute. I try to exercise, all right? And I don't have room in the garage because my wife has stolen all my room. So I gave up. And the garage is really cold. My garage is either an inferno or absolutely freezing. And there's not a whole lot of in between. And that's the struggle. That's the only answer I got for you on that. I don't like my stairs. Getting ahead of myself. What? What just happened? Oh no. Made a hole. Not quirking? What you mean? But yeah, I had planned on doing like little layout, figure out how much space I have, but this is all I got. Let's see. I have to have this up. All I got. It's really hard to see. I just got the outside drawn and then didn't have any other time because I was working on this resume all day long. And working. And then had to put a freaking entire kitchen together and organize everything and then hide it from my son. It was very fun, but quite the distraction of a day. It was a struggle. Those are the roughest days when I'm like, think I'm going to get a bunch of stuff done, and then it's like everything but what I wanted to do got done. So it's like it's a big accomplishment of a day, but I didn't accomplish what I wanted to. I'm also annoyed. I got to get glasses now. Very disappointing. And I got to wear them all the time. How lame. Probably won't need to wear them when I'm gaming, though. I guess, now that I think about it. I did not clarify on that. What else have we done? Yeah, we're pretty much in the same spot we were on Monday. But now that I have like a layout at least started, we're at a point where I can like spend a little time just like screwing around, sketching out a floor plan of some kind. But it's a slow process. Struggle is real. I'm a lot slower at that kind of stuff than I once was. Amazing how quick your skills go away when you don't do them for a long time. You still using multi-stream and not that new one? I'm still on Restream, yes. I haven't had time to figure out Atom. I have had so much life stuff going on. I haven't had any time. Hey, you Velocity. I once was a man in my early 20s where I had nothing but time, and the world was at my the world was my oyster. You know, I could do anything I wanted at any time. But once you have a kid and a wife, that time goes away. You don't have time anymore. It just disappears. Every minute is spent taking care of a child, or trying to hang out with my wife when I can. I have 2 dogs, so I have to take care of them as well. I have a full-time job. If it was as easy as just I have endless time, trust me. Trust me, we'd be killing it right now. But I have to learn the program before I can just implement it. That's the real struggle. Okay. Imagine you don't want to pop up Twitch chat to see the emotes. I saw whatever. I can't. Is it like a perfume thing? Is that what that was? I can't tell which one you even used there. I don't know what it actually is. Looks like a little perfume bottle or something. I mean, eventually I'll get it set up, but it's just a lot. There's a lot of extra stuff to set up than just doing it, whereas Restream just does it. I don't like that I have to use the Restream branding, but for the time being, it's fine. Not too worried about it. Just being on streaming. I'm stubborn. Where am I supposed to put this Twitch chat? I have to see the other chats and stuff, too. I don't want 6 chat windows open just to see emotes. Tech, you don't know what I see. You have no clue. Yeah, there's one chat open, but it's like part of the whole program. It's like an entire internet browser open that just combines them. But I have to have like my Twitch feed, activity feed open, so I make sure I see like anything on there. I literally don't have like room for the things that are more important, like when people sub on Twitch and stuff. Because for some reason, I get notifications on my chat when someone like becomes a member on YouTube, but it doesn't do it for Twitch. So I have to have I have to pop out the activity feed for Twitch, and then I have to have a web browser open to be able to see the chat that I'm using. It's a little finicky. Not that having Atom, the other program I'm going to use, is necessarily like easier by any means. I have Twitch notifications, so if you toss down a Twitch Prime, you'll get a notification that pops up. So there's that. All right, I'm working on things. I felt that content and consistency in streaming is more important than seeing emotes, though, is my biggest thing. That's been the focus. Okay. Yes, emotes are part of the chat, but I've never been on a streamer's stream where a specific emote comes up unless it's just spamming, so everyone in the chat spamming the same one that gets any. What's up, Joe? Oh, you're not late. We started like 9 minutes ago, and Velocity's just yelling at me for not seeing his emotes, so you're good. No, there's no reason to chat other than spamming emotes. See, this is a generational gap that we're having here, because I feel the opposite. I feel emotes are worthless because they do nothing. It's just a picture. I'm not saying you spamming. I'm saying the only time that I'm, like, when I go watch someone else's stream, the only time that I've ever seen a streamer, like, react to an emote on stream is when people are, like, the whole chat's spamming the same emote as, like, a meme. Other than that, it's just people hitting emotes. So for me, like, I added them because people like them. Stubborn? See, the thing is here is you act like you're not just as stubborn. You can't call someone stubborn when you're equally as stubborn as I am. It's a two-way road there, mister. Because in my mind, like, emotes mean nothing to me. It's a fun thing, but I like having my own personal emotes, but just like random emotes are like, eh. What's up, Beans? How's it going? But to me, like, I never use emotes in people's chats unless it's like their own channel emotes. So just randomness, like I don't follow the internet memeing enough to find thousands of emotes entertaining as you might. So I can see just, it's not emotes, it's so I can see his special emotes. I see my emotes when people use them. I see standard emotes when people use them. It's only his specialty ones that I don't see. How you guys doing tonight, though? No, I just like to point out your hypocrisy. I will never deny that I'm not an extremely stubborn person, but I will not hide the fact when someone else is equally as stubborn as I am. Yeah, I started a drawing, Joe, and then got distracted by 1,000 things today, and I didn't actually get to work on it. I just got the outline of this space. I like to use both. They enhance each other. Yeah. I like a bit here and there, but I stick to like the normal ones. Again, I don't disagree with you, but I also don't like you using a face and pointing at me afterwards doesn't necessarily. I got the comment. Don't worry. Yeah, but everyone else can see it, so it's not like anything's really being missed. Everyone got the joke. I just typically chat more often than I hit emotes, is all. So yeah, we have a very rough drawing. It's all preference. Yeah, can everyone else even see it if they don't have the extension? That's my question. Is it just you and I that can see them then? Because then is it adding anything if everyone else doesn't have the thing too? Nope, what? Nope, they can't. They have to add it. So it's literally just you and me. You're making this big thing out like you're changing the game for everyone and it's just you and me. Uh-huh. I don't use the emotes. How? I don't type in chat. I talk. What streamer types in their own chat? I'm playing a game and talking. How do I gotta get out, alt tab, screw with stuff, and then go back? That sounds horrible. Ruining Velocity's whole life. So yeah, don't mind my, you like the shape? Yeah, so what I was doing here is I got some architectural graph paper, stuff I used to use in structures class, because it was cool, and I was measuring out blocks to figure out, so I could redraw this at scale, or at a scale. It's not really one, but I'm gonna ban every viewer. It's a rough life. Yeah, so I was using all these random things to just measure this thing out so I could draw the outline, and then I was going to start, like, actually start laying out and figuring out how this castle was going to work, and then I worked on my resume all day long for a new job I'm applying for, and then all sorts of stuff. Uzin, you are always late. What the heck? How dare you? I mean, the difference is, what, you were 15 minutes late today? That's not bad at all. Normally you're like 2 hours late. Or like XYZ popped into chat on Monday the second I was like, I'm out of here. Have a good day, everyone. See y'all Wednesday. He's like, I made it. Oh, no. See, Uzin doesn't even know what it is. You wouldn't make your life a bit nicer. Everybody's a little late. That's all good. That's sort of part of the problem with me not streaming like at the same exact time every single night. I just try to pop it up like 15, 20 minutes before I like actually start if I can, so people kind of can get prepared. I only measured because I was trying to redraw this because my brain is really struggling wrapping my head around how this thing's gonna work. I tend to be a little more freeform, but I'm finding in this game I mess things up really bad. So like what I noticed doing almost on everything that I've done so far, like I start off and I build and then I do it again on the other side to like mirror it, and I'm always a block off, or I'm always like I did this whole thing and then I laid out both of these walls and realized one of them was one block too close compared to the other one. So it was like I just constantly make mistakes with the measuring because the blocks are so small, and because you can use little tiny blocks or big blocks like in Grounded. So I found myself, if I don't do a little bit more planning in Enshrouded, I tend to make more mistakes and then have to redo things. Well, the good news is Velocity's here to ban the best Twitch viewers. People that are always here. But what he really wants you to download the app or the extension because no one else can see it. Except, so he wants me to feel bad. Yeah, I know they're bots, but I'm saying you could still ban them, you know. Yeah, and then also like. This, to me, like, visually, I just have no way to... It's way too easy to accidentally screw these up. But I'm also, like... I want to make this as big as I can, because I want the inside space to be functional, but I also want, like, the scale to make sense, which is kind of the struggle right now. It's been an interesting project so far. And then this whole like not being centered thing is messing with my brain. So I'm trying to figure out like how I want the entrance to this thing, this whole castle to work. I just want someone that enjoys my use of emotes. You know, Bean's over here just trying to talk and use his emotes. You just shut him down like he's nothing. So yeah, if anyone has an idea of what I should do here, it's like, it's interesting. I already am interested in the shape, but like, I don't think this isn't going to be the whole building. So the building's going to be built within here. And so I'm just trying to figure out the like overall layout. You could see the emotes, it would be better. You don't know that. I could hate the emotes. That's an assumption, sir. It almost feels like I should use the whole thing, but I don't know. Doesn't quite feel right. So you posting the same monkey emote? Oh no. I mean, I knew your sad faces. I already knew you were sad. If it's off, you can just break it and be like, well, here's an infected broken area. That is true. The ultimate planning is if your whole base, it just like, that part just fell down. That part just broke and kind of crumbled to the ground over in the corner. No, the way I see it is I want some type of plaza spacing, so it isn't just one massive castle floating. Like I want sort of some extra stuff going on. But my brain is like, I want it centered. Right now is the struggle. So is it like, okay, maybe it's centered and maybe this side becomes more like laid out around that, and then I make the whole thing skinnier because this is pretty wide, honestly. And I have a little room over here that I could extend out a little more and mess with too. Such a good idea. What if you make one big tower in the middle of it and then put a rocket next to it with a monkey statue? I mean, it's going to be one big tower, so you got that part. I don't know how we're making a monkey statue though. Doesn't feel very relevant is all. That's my only question with this idea. Is why a monkey? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The round area is the plaza. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but originally it was all just going to be more centered, I guess. But, I mean, we could do, like, this is in, this could be the center, so then this is our space. And we just kind of build off to the sides a little more. And then... What, now you want me to listen to audios in the middle of the stream? What do you want from me here? You could make a part of the castle ruin like it broke when it started floating. That's kind of what I'm thinking for... It's 7 seconds. I'm looking at it right here. Oh my gosh, you're the worst. It's horrible. It literally just it's just a pig snorting, you know, like what is happening? And you wonder why I don't give in to your nonsense desires for emotes. My own mod trolling me. This what I get? Yeah, well, you're not getting any more You're not getting any more emotes. How's that? I'm just gonna not use Atom just to spite you now. I don't even know if Atom will show me your emotes either, so that's the key. So what I'm thinking, Joe, is I don't know. Originally, I was gonna center it on the whole thing to get more space, but now my brain is starting to like want this to be centered. So this would be still a little plaza space with some kind of staircase. And then our tower goes up, and then there's sort of something here. But then I could also build something off on this side, which I think would be kind of interesting. But I think like my brain... It's sad when the mod is the one that has to tell himself to behave. This guy. But yeah, so my brain is, I think part of my issue is I've just been like banging my head against a wall, not liking the idea of like you walk in and then go over and then the entrance is off to the side. Like there's something I like about this that I want to utilize as part of the entrance. It just makes sense. So why not? I can do my little entry area here with sort of a fun little courtyard with either like water features on each side, or I'll break it up and do like a path that goes down the center with some greenery. Then I can do some greenery here. I have no clue if this is actually staying by any means. That was just raised, and I was like, well, maybe there's stairs. Maybe that something happens there. But say if we go over here, we can come over, not fall to our death, come over as far as we can here. Not sure that this happens. So I might need to expand this just a hair. So maybe it lines up there so I get a little more space potentially. I'm kind of contemplating that right now too. That way the tower has more space, because currently it's I think that's what my struggle was, is that I want as much space as possible to make this tower, because I don't think I'm giving myself as much space as I maybe would have originally desired. This is not the biggest place in the world, but I think if we do a main entrance sort of coming off here in some way, shape, or form, then it'll have a little piece kind of like most cathedrals kind of have, like a little bump out, that sort of standard church shaping in the front, like just a standard house with a triangle top, of course, more detailed and more interesting, but flying buttresses, that kind of thing. And then the main tower is here, is kind of the whole back of it. And then there's crazy stuff coming off the sides, and we could build, so there's more space. I could build this side out more, is maybe like a secondary area. And that way we have a little bit more stuff. Yeah, like you said. Should center the entry in front of the courtyard. The left side would be good for like kitchen, stables. Yeah, all those sort of things. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because it's like in Grounded, I found because there wasn't the decor item, like the range of decor that Enshrouded has, the rooms just kind of like, I made a building for one thing. And so it was like the bathhouse, like was for the bathhouse. Like there was the hot tubs, and that was the whole thing, was the bathtubs and the water showing off. And then like my workshop was just for chests essentially, and the main work items. And then the temple was to show off subscribers and chests and put their names and stuff in it and just show off the chests. And the cathedral was just like a central space. Whereas in Enshrouded, there's so many decor items. I find that I need to think in terms of like actual living spaces to make it as realistic as I think I'd like it to be in the long run. So it can't just be a massive open room with nothing in it. Like I have to plan the interior design a little bit more. Whereas in Grounded, because there wasn't a lot, it just kind of was like, what do you want to put in there? Like, I'll just put stuff in there, and it's just kind of a room. Whereas here, I'm like, oh, this is a castle, so I want it to like function as a castle in many ways. Which I think is good, but it takes a little extra planning is all. which is good because I've missed it. I've actually been thinking through today and a little bit of from the other day. It'd be really cool. God, I'm so horrifically bad at sketching these days. But I was like, maybe I get back into doing sketching, and if I set it up properly, I could turn my workspace into somewhere where I can do sketches on stream. At least, I mean, like, this is really hard to see, so I'm not even sure if you can actually see it or not, but, like, I'm just doing very light line work at the moment for this layout, and I'm not necessarily doing a crazy drawing or anything. I expect to flesh that drawing out a little bit more as I go, of course, but I was like, hey, maybe that's something like I'd never see anyone on stream that does building do, like, architectural sketches and stuff. Now, it'd be a process for me to get good at sketching again because it's been years since I've sketched. I just don't do it anymore, which is fine, but it's a tall order at times to just get back into it. So I'm kind of thinking of how maybe I could utilize some of that stuff in future videos and stuff as well. Could be a very interesting addition, and then I could just record myself sketching and use it for videos as well. Could be interesting, but not totally sure yet if and how and what any of that would be, which is fine. But there's some interesting ideas behind it that I'd like to kind of toy with, so I'm kind of thinking through maybe utilizing sketches, even if they're just like rough things to throw in videos that I can talk over and narrate while I'm like have a sketch being drawn in the background or something. I don't know. Could be interesting. You might like it if you pull the round area out to give more space for the tower. The round area could be overhung that came up with the tower but left the ground behind. So you're saying make this circle like here, essentially, if I'm understanding that correct? More space isn't a bad thing. I guess the struggle is it would just be floating. I think the hard part mentally is like, in theory, I could terraform forever, but I'm kind of losing my mind terraforming. So I don't necessarily want to terraform all that much more. So I'm struggling with like, this is kind of the space I have. Now, of course, we could probably move this up 2 blocks easily. Maybe 3. Gets a little tight. But if it's like overhanging, I'm just like trying to think through. Like you could do supports back. It's kind of a little weird. Maybe if I know if that's exactly what you're thinking, though, to be sure. It's like a bigger... Essentially this, like, you'd essentially get maybe this. Like, you wouldn't get much more space than, like, where I'm standing. Because I got to start the tower sooner than later. Or else I won't have enough space. So you're right in that sense to, like, get a little more space. I'm also trying to, like... The tough part is I tend to look at, like, massive precedent images. Like, the thing I'm looking at could easily be this entire area, like, that I've got all my altars built up on. So I'm trying to do a much smaller scale of it. Maybe a little more if you make it and terraform later to finish out. I tend to terraform after the structure is done. Interesting. Yeah, I always try to, like, at least like what I did in Grounded, which is kind of what I'm repeating in Enshrouded, is I tend to work with the landscaping that's already there. That's why I like had this whole idea. Is I was like, it just looks like an area that you could rip out of the ground. But it's also having the like, how legit and realistic should it be versus how fantasy and broken could it be at the same time. So I guess if we did, I could do a quick outline, I guess. Where's my circle generator? Got one of those things somewhere around here. So what if we've got... Is that the center? I think it was. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the center. And go another 5. So we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out, which makes this how big? Very big. 67? Wide, I think. It's getting big. Think you should start the tower and adjust the courtyard to get the scale you need? Yeah. I think I just want to like visually see this lined up because I'm slowly starting to change my mind from this being this thing right here to there being some type of an aqueduct like what you had done. Oh no. Help me. I definitely like your idea of an aqueduct to keep that water effect going. And I feel like it makes total sense to just have it come down off the mountain and be like in this area. So I'm like, why wouldn't this, like this is almost better. Whereas like trying to do it from here, I'm like, where is this water coming from? So I'm thinking of moving that anyway. So I think it makes sense to just give myself this full space. Either way. More space is mo better. But so at least if I have the idea like, okay, this is how much room I have, then it's, I think, gonna make it easier to just do it. Oh, oops. Okay. I do like, it's probably one difference between me and other people is the start process for me is always feels slow. Maybe not for everyone, but as someone who like, I don't typically plan my builds very much, but that means because I don't plan them because I don't really plan them, I spend a lot of time just like screwing around looking at them instead of actually planning them. And so I'm trying to like do a happy medium here, I think, as part of that. Oh no. It's so close. Could be an aqueduct that was bringing water to the castle, but now it doesn't because it broke. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And it was like, could be bringing it to the castle because I was thinking of water features and stuff. So it could come down and do some water features, and maybe it's like cracked and ruined, and that's why the water is now going down to the moat or something like that. But it also could be like I had thought of water here because I wanted some watery effects like flowing off the edge of this thing in different places. So there could be aqueducts like running all around it at the same time. Could be an interesting way to mess with it. But that is the struggle. Just deciding. Got one. It was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off of there. Oh, come on. It's harder to build when there's nothing underneath it. Yeah, I definitely spend more time just like thinking through ideas the way I build. Might be interesting if it came horizontal over your big doorway you already built. Like off of this. Or the horizontal. Guessing you mean horizontal, like off of the mountain. I'd kind of thought there might be some big water source up here, like this is where the pond is or whatever. Like a mountain pond or a mountain lake up here. Especially since this is going to get bigger, because we have to fill all this in at some point with dirt, or with stone and dirt and all that, to make this a more cohesive mountain structure down here. So we could have like water running down off of that and coming down to the aqueducts and stuff. Like it definitely does not need to run through here by any means. And then having like waterfalls coming off it would be pretty sick looking. Oh my gosh, I missed. Epic fails. Yep. Okay. Just a jumping buffoon over here. What were you thinking? What is horizontal? I guess is the question. I'm thinking like horizontal, perpendicular. It's always the struggle of interpreting other people's ideas at the first glance. Just reading a comment and trying to picture it in my head to make sure I fully understand before I just assume. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2. 3 2s, a 1. Does just copy this, doesn't it? It's almost the same. Never mind. Single, a double, then 3 singles. Oh. I find I struggle with the falling to my death while I have... I wish while you were flying you could turn off the build mode. Kind of annoying that you can't turn it off when you're flying. I just meant in regard to the castle, so parallel to the already done structure. Just coming off of here, I guess, yeah? Or is that parallel? It's hard because I see this as like this big long thing that way, but it is built this way. But waterfalls would be cool. The aqueduct coming down here and just coming off of like this spot could be interesting. I know there's a lot of options. That's a struggle. I could think about it a million different ways. 4. Second one. So parallel. It'd also be cool having waterfalls. Like, it just would look good. It'd break up all the rock, which wouldn't suck. I don't know. Both ideas could work really well. That's the struggle, is it's like there isn't necessarily a wrong way to do it. It's just which one's better, which one's gonna work the best. I don't know. Because I mean, a parallel is essentially what I had kind of already been doing, I guess. Like, but if the water source is above it, like they either come down, they could come down off each side. Oh no. I don't even feel like I fell there. What the heck? Just seeing like something come down there and something come down there could look really cool too. It's like small waterfalls. These would not be like massive ones, but it's a very Oregon thing to have like really small little waterfalls all over the place. So there's something that could be very interesting about that. But I wouldn't I don't hate the idea of by any means. 1, 2. Another 1. Then a 2. Oops. Man, circle generators. They're both great and horrible. Nice to at least be able to build a bit of a circle, I guess, in this game. I was so used to just no circles and grounded that it was pain. I guess you kind of got circles, but very small circles. Not the circles that I enjoy making. Tend to think it lines moving someone's attention. So if they were looking at the big door, the aqueduct would pull their attention to the castle. And I guess that's actually one of the tips that I was talking about. That's going to be one of my top 10 tips in some way, shape, or form is like line of sight. So the idea of drawing you into the base. So like, oh, you walk in and you're like, wow, this is cool. What's up there? Well, now I want to go see what's upstairs. Oh, wait. I come over here. Wait a second. There's going to be line of sight into like all the stuff that's going on in here and the production side of things. And then when you're standing over here, you see the chests in the background. So then you want to see that. And it's like that. The idea is like pulling your attention. When you come in here, you're looking around, but you're immediately seeing like this other place. And then you come in here and you get down and you're like, wow, there's so much going on. But then you immediately see like this big blue ooze. And then after you're looking around, like your attention's drawn further and it like pulls and draws you in more and more. And then each one of these you see is like another layer to the whole base in general, which I definitely like the idea of. So I guess the goal is the goal to draw the attention towards the castle. I mean, visually, I think no matter what, this castle is probably going to draw your attention the way I'm thinking through it. But I do like the idea of like when you're looking at one thing. Ooh, excuse me. When you're looking at one thing, you're always like getting an idea of another thing. There's always something else. Now it's hard to see here because the lighting's so poor looking inside to outside, but not necessarily a bad thing to see, to be drawn to the castle, since it really is going to be the like focal point of this entire crazy build. Dang it. So I guess if it doesn't draw your attention to it, I'm doing something wrong. Okay. That's a decent amount of extra space. Like, let's look at that from up high. Yeah, line of sight is something I find most people don't really. Oh no. Oh no. I used a bandage in the air. That's quite a bit more space. I think that's probably pretty nice. We could even pull. Oh no. Pull this back to where like more of the center is, and not do that, and maybe create some other effect or something. So this is a little bit bigger of a circle, but it is going to look bigger, I guess, going there. So not the end of the world. But I definitely like the idea of like the circle being the center of the castle, and then some like side. It's very like Notre Dame-esque, where like I could see this sort of big central tower crazy thing, and then also having this like flying buttress sort of effect coming off the sides. So you have this like very symmetrical thing, but then this side sort of like grows outward, and it just makes some functionality. Whereas like, I think that was one thing mentally I was struggling with, was that this, if you're looking at this, like most throne rooms are narrow and long, and so there's like a colonnade with a little bit of extra space on each side being like this, like a walkways space. It's not typically like this massive extra thing. It's just details and depth, but there's not really like anything you do with that space. And so having this, like, I mean, if you're really looking at this, like this fairly large. Now there's bigger cathedrals out there for sure, but if this is one room, realistically, that's 20, 30 blocks high. I mean, we're getting up to like here or so probably, if not taller. That's a lot of space to fill with details and thrones and columns and stuff. And then, like, what do you do with that extra big room? Like, there's no useful space, whereas every castle has, like you had said, Joe, like the kitchens, the sleeping quarters, just like anything like that, which I think is going to make a good, going to be good for the overall design. And then it also, like, then the build appeases my OCD of like being symmetrical, but at the same time it won't be exactly symmetrical, which I think is a good thing. As I said, I've been trying to step away from like pure symmetrical builds here and there. I like symmetry, but I don't want to only do symmetry. Especially because, like, when you're looking at this, oh my gosh. When you're looking at this from 99% of the angles, all you're going to see is this side anyway. So, like, whether this side that's sort of hidden into the mountain is actually visible doesn't really matter, I don't think. Like, it's the perfect side. If you were going to do something that wasn't totally symmetrical, that's where you're going to want to do it. Because all the beauty shots are going to be taken from, like, up on my platforms out here. Like, this is the perspective I'm going to get images from. So, like, it makes sense to do. It just makes sense, I think, in terms of, like, design. Throne rooms typically don't have too many items around the room, just nice pillars and rugs or a throne or two. Yeah. And so it's like if you make a massive one, like that's what I've seen a lot of people is they just become so big that at a certain point you're just like, they just become kind of boring. Unless you're just like, you build on such a big scale that it just is insane and your details are ridiculous. This is a pretty big throne room because it's gonna go from like right where you start. It's gonna start out and then it's gonna go straight into like the throne room. So it's not gonna be this like. It's gonna be big. It's pretty big. It's not huge by any means. I've seen bigger. He says. It is a good idea to make a list of services and add them around the throne room. True. That was actually one thing I did a much better job in the my grounded world. I had a list of every building type I wanted to make in the city. So there was a blacksmith and a tailor, and it was all like oriented around what each item in the game could offer. So like there was anvils. So it made sense to make a blacksmith, and then the spinning wheels made sense for a tailor, and then a bar or a pub, a like little church space, a taxidermist because you had stuffed bug mounts, lots of little things like that. But yeah, having a list of everything would be a good idea. Because essentially what I want to do is spend some time like actually creating a bit of a floor plan before I get like too insane. Like, I mean, we're not going to get enough done tonight to be worrying about like what room is going to be in each space at the end of the day. So it's not like I'm not getting too far ahead of myself by any means, so I'm not super worried about it, but it's definitely going to help to have that floor plan and an idea overall of like what is this whole castle going to be? How are the stairs going to work? Like, I'm going to have this massive tower. I have to figure out how I want to lay the stairs out and how you get up to the next levels. And so is it stairs on each side? Is it like, it could be so many different things. Cool, because you can make anything in Enshrouded and add the NPCs. I even have plans for the villagers. Oh, yeah. I'm going to use, I mean, the villagers are going to have like random houses and stuff as well. Like there's just so much room for houses and buildings in this whole place that I think it's going to be good. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for pushing me past what I was thinking. Because although that's not much, it's enough that I think visually it starts to feel like it's a better scale. I think I was struggling with the scale. And it needed to be centered. I don't know. There was just something about like this little bump out just feels like the entrance. I think that was one thing I was sitting here staring at. Like, how do you who creates a cathedral that isn't like centered? It just feels wrong. Just wrong in so many ways. I didn't like it. Not a fan. But that's trial and error. That's just part of the process. You have to do something that doesn't work to know what does work, oftentimes. At least I often find that I make good stuff when I do it the wrong way the first time. My builds get a lot better. Tend to forget how much area I get when expanding the perimeter. I mean, that was literally 4 blocks, 4 or 5. Like it was like 1. That was there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blocks. But that's like night and day difference, it feels like. Much, much better. But having it drawn out earlier today helped as well. I just didn't get to spend anywhere near as much time as I wanted to. I got distracted. For a while now, I've been looking at other jobs and stuff just to keep my options in life open, and I actually found a decent job that is in the same industry for like $10,000 to $20,000 more salary, and I have all the skills needed. I'm just not sure if I fit the it's like a remote position, but it's also local. So like it looks like they're trying to find someone to hire that lives in the area, but will get to work remotely. But I'm hoping, because I feel like I have the perfect background. Started my first airship today, and oh my god, it's difficult. Yeah, it sounds scary. Yeah, I've applying for this job. And I spent the whole day redoing my resume and stuff when I didn't have actual work. And it was a busy day at work too, so I didn't really do anything. I just worked. How annoying, right? Having to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's good. I've been trying to, like, figure out what I want to do job-wise for a while anyways, so. Not that I, like, dislike my job, but I find when I do something that I'm more passionate about, that it tends to help my entire life, not just the job. And whereas I've been feeling a little stuck at my current job. It's just too small of a company, I think. The relaxed nature of it is very cool, but at the same time, the relaxed nature means I have no vertical movement in the company. Because it's only me and the owner and one other dude. So there's not really anything called a promotion. It's just a yearly inflation raise. 2, then 4 ones. So I'm excited about the prospect of potentially getting a different job. It's a little bit of a long shot. It's one of those jobs where, like, if you looked at my resume, I'm probably the perfect fit for it, as I have all the skills, and I'm already essentially doing the job just for a different company, but I don't live where they're looking for. What's up, Grim? How's it going, man? Oh, no. And so it's like they want a local person, but it's a remote position. So I'm like, maybe they're flexible. Maybe? I've been out of the workforce so long, my resume would be, I had a job at that place that one time. Yeah. I mean, like, realistically, that's kind of what my current job feels like. It's like, I have a job at this place. Like, if you ask anyone in my family, they'd be like, I don't know, Mitch has a job where he sells some stuff. But who knows? Why are you yelling beans? Spent 4 hours messing with roof designs and almost settled on my original idea, such as building. Dude, seriously though. Ain't that the truth? 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. But in terms of, like, my resume, like, I think I'm the perfect candidate for the job. Because I sell architectural site furnishings. So, and I have a background in architecture. That's a win. I already sell the product that they are hiring someone to sell. The only issue is I don't live in the area. And I don't have any desire to move to Indianapolis at this moment in life. But it's for one of our biggest competitors. Well, not one of our biggest, but it's for a big competitor. Makes you sound like a mugger of some sorts. He sells stuff. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. No, I sell bike racks. Bike racks, benches, and bollards, and stuff for parks and buildings. That's it. That's what I do. Nothing exciting. But the company I'm applying for does the same thing, but it's by architects and designers, and so they make products that, like, are visually appealing. I'd be much more passionate about what I'm selling, because we just sell, like, the same stuff most people are selling outside of a few little things. And they, like, manufacture in-house, and they do all the stuff that we don't do. That is what I always have struggled with the company I work at. In terms of growth, like, not being a manufacturer just means we rely on other people too much. Not that everyone is interested about my job, but it's one of those things. I'd prefer to be a little more passionate about my job. It's a lot easier to sell something when you think what you sell is good. We make quality, but we don't make cool designs. So as someone with a design background, it's kind of like meh at times. And I've always been someone that I much prefer, like, I don't kill myself at my job because I feel like there's no reason to, because I have nowhere to go currently. In the sense that, I can't get promoted. There's nowhere to go. I can, like, if I work my living butt off, I'll make everyone at the company more money, but at the expense of my time and them not doing anything else. So, like, it's not much of an incentive to, like, go out and bust your ass. What's up, Knife? How's it going, man? Good to see ya. An architect's dream is an engineer's nightmare. Semi-true, but a bad architect's dream is an engineer's nightmare. A good architect's dream is a great collaboration between engineers and architects. The issue is that most architects these days are not good architects. They just want to do crazy cool things, and they lack the background to know how to work with engineers. So it's a two-part thing. If you're a good architect, you think in terms of creating your dream designs and dream ideas, but you also understand how to make them like real things. But so yes, in many ways, an architect's dream is an engineer's nightmare because most architects don't do that. When they're designing crazy stuff, they're just trying to be crazy instead of being functional. But a good architect knows enough about structural engineering. Like, I had to take structural engineering as an architect in school. I did not have to take I swear I just slept. I didn't have to take as many structural engineering courses as a structural engineer by any means, but I did have to take the like basic structures course so I could do basic structures calculations and know how to do like those things. Now, I wasn't very good at that because math is not my strong point, but time to go back to the shadows. Sounds good, man. Good hearing from you. It's like, where'd my thing go? Did you donate 5 or anything? Did I miss something? Or did you just come in and say hi? You always say lurk in the shadows after you donate, so I didn't want to make sure I didn't miss something. We defy reality. Ain't that true? Concept artist dream is an architect's and an engineer's nightmare. I think they're just fun. I think that's what I enjoyed about like the challenge of design was that you had to make something that worked, and you had to make something that could be made, and you had to make something that still looked incredible. Like, it was the whole thing, the whole shebang. I like making cool things that defy reality, but also still function and work really well. It's like the pagoda base in Grounded. Like, I loved it. Just was ridiculous. It was built off grid. It was so much further than most people were understood about the game. But it also was like an extremely functional base. Larger than maybe some people would have gone for, but it still worked as a base better than most people's bases, which was my goal. I like building big stuff that works really well too. Actually, why not? Why not? Alright, so how much space do we want in here? Oh, also, heads up, I will not be streaming Friday, just so everyone knows. My wife and I are going out of town to go stay with her brother and my brother-in-law, her brother. They have a 2-month-old that we haven't seen very much, and they're moving into her dad's my sister-in-law's place, I guess. Her dad's house, and they're like spending the entire weekend cleaning and painting, so we're going to help them with their two-month-old and see the nephew, which will be fun. I gotta be the best uncle around. I have a reputation with all of the nieces and nephews in the family as the cool uncle. And I'm gonna keep it that way. Four, 5, 6, 5 to that, yeah. That was like the best moment of my life. No, not the best moment, but it was a very good moment when my wife asked my niece who she thought was the most fun, and she said me. And I was like, let's go. Let's go. I think it's because I'm still a child at heart, is really what that comes down to, but I'll take it. Everyone else is trying to be all serious. That's boring. Nobody want that. So I'm thinking of these as like they could be gardens, they could be water features, they could be water features and gardens. Something like that. Then the staircase could start going a little lower, which wouldn't suck. Really, this almost sits perfectly on this. It's really close. More distance. It actually doesn't look bad. I mean, I have to obviously kind of like make the structure kind of make sense, but it's not bad. Could easily pull some of that back and terraform that so it makes more sense. And this is pretty close to already fitting. We have space over here. That's easy. And this is kind of a jank mess that I made. So we got a lot of stuff. Ooh, there you go, Velocity. Ban him. Ban that bot. Watch, he probably left. He's not even here anymore. All he wanted to do was ban someone. And now that I got him here, he's gone. How rude. How rude. Yeah, it's starting to make sense, I think. Yes, how big is this? Of course, because I guess it has a center then, which doesn't suck. That doesn't work though, now that I'm thinking about it. Having a center block is the wrong decision. Crap. Shoot. Think that through, did I? Now my doors won't be centered. What I'm thinking. Dang it. All that. What, this needs to be 66? Poop. 1, 2. Darn it. What a pain in the rear. Love how I do that whole thing. I screwed up by 1 block, just not thinking. So yeah, if everything moves over 1, that's fine. That doesn't suck, but it's annoying. Where's my blocks? They ever add actual pipes and such, I'm going to go full 40k. Adeptus Mechanicus. Is that how I say it right in a build? I mean, I saw your steampunk stuff. You've made something steampunky, so. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why stupid? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why is this hurting my brain? One, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. 2, 1, 2. Ah, so this is where it changes. Then it's 1. 6. Turn my volume down on my headset. I was like, why is everything so quiet all of a sudden? Two, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual ones. Oy vey. It's just timber builds circles is what the title should have been. Yikes. It's at least nice to be able to use like circle generators and stuff. That part's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, 6, then a double, then a single, double, double, triple, quad, and then this should all be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why is it the same? Oh, it's not. These are messing with my brain. And there was no reason to use the individual removal here. But once you start, you can't stop. I mean, if someone can build a freaking flying, literally a flying whale, you could build anything in this game. I think that it's insane. You build anything. Would be nice to have some pipes and stuff, though, or something along those lines. I mean, they have, like, the alchemy stuff, so I don't doubt we might get stuff along those lines still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Who knows what we get, though? Hopefully lots. I've been impressed with the decor options thus far, so I can't imagine they don't just keep killing it. Mm-hmm. The Enshrouded Facebook group, someone posted a really cool sailing ship with banners as sails. Interesting. Dude, there's some people. I'm a creative person, but man, there's some people that have done some insane stuff so far. Hey, there we go. Alright, that's at least centered. Boom, boom, boom. Get out of here, decay. Whatever more they are adding, these suggestions are now closed, so they must have it all planned out. Oh, is it really? Just saw people talking about suggestions like today. Interesting. I had not noticed that. I haven't looked at the suggestion board in weeks, though, so... You told me they're shut. Don't take my word for it. Oh. There's a bunch of people talking about suggestions today in the Enshrouded chat, so I hope it's not. Someone was just like complaining that they added one and then it got combined with another one. And I'm like, and everyone was just flaming them. They're like, well, yeah, you offered 2 suggestions in one, and one of them sounded kind of like the other one. So they combined it. So you go make another one. Like pain. Six. But you never know. Only thing that could make this game next level for me would be liquid dynamics. It'd make computers melt, but it would be awesome. There's going to be a water biome. So the key is how water's being implemented. That's what they haven't said so far, is like, there's going to be a water biome in some way, shape, or form. I'm assuming the water biome's the next major update, is my guess. Since they've kind of gone content, quality of life, content, quality of life. Kind of back and forth a little bit. So, that's my guess. But you never know, really. I'm interested in to see what you come up with for details. Yeah, we'll get there. I have a lot of interesting ideas, but my brain has to get past the like planning phase to be able to like actually be able to comprehend details. One can dream, yeah. I mean, like, interacting with blocks, building a pond shape, and being able to fill it, physics, and whatnot. Yeah, that's... I mean, my guess is that we'll get some type of water block, but the question is it going to be Minecraft water block, where, like, you place it and it, in theory, flows and goes somewhere? That'd be incredible, but... Hard to know if a custom engine makes that easier or exponentially more difficult. That's always where I find it interesting, is it's like, they can do literally anything they want, but how much time and effort do they want to put into that, you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's kind of the center. Not really a center, but Just retextured ice with a moving GIF on it, right? It could be that too. That's the hard, like... You never know. That's more so, but I guess the thing is if they're gonna make a water biome, I'd imagine that there's gonna be some type of interaction with the water. Otherwise, like, what's the point of a water biome, you know? So realistically, the options are kind of like, what's the point? I don't know. If you're gonna make water, why would you not make it like interactable? Like, are we just gonna drown in it? Because if we're just gonna drown, then like, what's the point? But if there's like some interesting, like, are we gonna be able to swim? Is it gonna be like the pond in Grounded? That's the crazy thing though, because like I know the pond took the devs like a year or more in Grounded. So hard to know. Hello? I hope it's interesting. It seems like, I mean, if they're going to add water, they might as well go big. Then it makes the weather more interesting. Sorry, I can't stop you. Makes the weather very, like, an interesting mechanic, like the rain, and it just keeps adding to the whole, like, environment. Which I think is what everyone wanted water for. It's just another like snow block. I mean, but like the snow block is like it adds a mechanic to the game too, right? So they said, "Oh, well, we're putting snow in the game." Well, not only can you place the snow block, you interact with the snow block. Because it slows you down. So it adds an interesting mechanic, very similar to thinking the water will be like the tar won't be able to make blocks out of it. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to make some type of block with it. Because that was the original request, is people wanted to place water. So if I'm going off of them specifically, like what they've done thus far, is a lot of those things have been added because people wanted them. The weather system, the extra terrain, and all that. So if you can't interact with it, I don't know, you either need to be able to like swim in it, which seems more complicated than making it just at least a block you can place. But if all you do is drown in it, like what's the point of a water biome? Because then it's just a lake you can't go in. So it almost seems like, I don't know, the way they've described it to me makes my brain think that. Not that my brain is the be-all, end-all, but... How much was this? What, one of these? It feels like it might be slightly missed opportunity if they don't give you much to do with it. In mi opinion. At least that's the hope. What are you building? So... Let's see over here. We're at the very beginning phase of I'll go over the whole thing. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. So essentially, I have a story or a lore that involves the Shroud. I'm assuming, yeah, you know about the tar and stuff, so you should know a little bit about Enshrouded. So I built a like dwarven smithing area. This is where all my crafting. I'm doing the majority of the NPCs. We just haven't finished building it all out yet. They just live in prison currently, in their little jail cell. But yeah, so the sides will be places for the NPCs to live. At least some of them. The rest will live. This is the Mistberry Catacombs. And so the general center area that's all open right now will be a housing district. There'll be a big wall around the entire outside of it. We have an upstairs area I haven't quite finished out yet. Still trying to figure out how much space I have with this crazy, ridiculous thing I'm doing over here. But this will be just sort of a big, cool space that we'll figure out. This is my like smithing area. I just made a fun lava texture and stuff. Because it's supposed to look like sort of like a bougie dwarven fortress. A little higher quality. Then we got my crafting room with a chest for all the blocks and items. With some space to grow, but I think we're going to run out of room. And then downstairs is the armory, where I have every armor piece shown side by side, essentially in chronological order, from best to worst, or first unlocks, with extra room to grow as well. I think they added 4 armors in the last update, and then a continuation of the lava effect from upstairs down here as well, which had fun. I'm going to be showing the weapons and stuff off in here, but it's a really slow process to get them all placed, so I took a break because I was starting to lose my mind. But essentially, the idea is that if you've done the Mistberry Catacombs quest, you know that there's an entrance outside here, and you come in there, and then you go through the dungeon, you unlock the doors, go throughout, you hit all the buttons and stuff, then you can open this door, and then you come and you loot this chest, or this crypt. And I accidentally dug into the catacomb here. And so I thought it would be a really cool idea. I'd already had the idea of like wanting a corruption sort of taking over the base, because I like the idea of the Shroud. And so the idea is that you loot this crypt, it releases the Shroud, which is just the corruption in this sense, which is just the luminescent growth, which I built all the way up. So everything in here outside of these stairs and the luminescent growth is all pre-built structure. I just tacked on to what they had already done. And then my flame altar, my main one at least, I'm using 5 for this base. You only need 4, but I like having a teleporting one, is right above it. And so the idea is that this corruption, when you opened the catacomb or the crypt there, you released the Shroud, which is then consuming from within the flame altar itself, essentially. This is my little flame altar space that we made, which was a really fun little project to do as well. Jump. But I had a great time with this, and then to continue the idea, this is then the main castle that I'm going to be building, which is what we're working on now. Is this, I'm doing some video stuff for this, so I haven't quite finished everything, and the landscaping and terrain work has been a little more ridiculous than I had planned. But the corruption and luminescent growth will be climbing up the side of this, and then essentially the idea is that that corruption took over and will be enripped, essentially like lifted this piece of ground out and is making this a floating island. So we still have some work to do, but essentially this all lines up. And then that same effect of this luminescent growth will then be like snaking its way up all of this. And so at night, you'll have this effect of like this floating island with this crazy blue, like snaking corruption coming out from underneath it. And then it will be slowly coming up into the castle itself and corrupting like maybe the lower levels. If this is sort of grass, it might be corrupting some of the garden spaces and then sort of starting to get to the castle. And yeah, so that's kind of the current idea we're messing with. So all we're doing currently is we spent a bunch of time terraforming and ripping the ground out and then raising it up a bunch of blocks, and then now we're building the actual castle. And then there'll be parts that I'm kind of thinking are like some of it ripped out of the ground, some of the pieces and stuff around it didn't rip out. So like that's kind of what's happening here is I'll have like a main staircase that came up here, but then the staircase ripped and fell apart, and that's where I get to use like the decay tool and stuff to add that sort of like rubble effect, which will be really fun. I've been slowly messing with it. Yeah, that's sort of the idea, and we have a massive castle we're designing. I have faith in them because they have earned it over the last year. I also hope they add functional lava. Stationary lava is already in the game. Even if I could just have the red shroud stuff, I would take that too. But moving lava would be fine, even though I'd be disappointed that I put in all the effort to like make that lava design. Because real lava would look even cooler, but I'm proud that I made it myself. Dang it. Okay. Yep. Just hitting my head. It's an epic scale. Is it just you? Yes, it's just me. I do use resource worlds for all my blocks. So I'm not making all of these blocks, so at least there's that speeds it up a little bit, but yeah, it's just me building. That's kind of what I do. Just build big, crazy stuff. Do you ever have heard of or played Grounded? That is where the previous game I was mega building in was Grounded. But my goal was to make a big enough project that I could work on throughout the rest of early access. So for at least another year, if not longer. Because they said spring 2026, which in my mind is like sometime within around June, give or take a month, is when it will go to the full release. We got a lot of building to go. I also hate that all ice has icicles under it. That is slightly annoying. I haven't like, dang it. I haven't necessarily run into like issues with that yet, but I also, it's kind of weird at the same time. It's cool when you want the effect, not as, dang it. It's cool when you want the effect, not as cool when you don't want the effect. Oh my gosh. I keep thinking there's a floor at the end of that because there was just a second ago and I deleted it. Like, am I going crazy? Now maybe I won't fall to my death over and over again. Yeah, we're just kind of building our lives away. Seeing what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, what's up, XYZ? How's it going? I had to double the bottom of aqueducts to keep them from showing. Yeah. Luckily, mine kind of worked out, but I am having that issue where I built the lower level of this a little too close. I should have made the floor like a double, and so it shows through in one specific area. Not totally ideal, but I guess it is what it is. Three, 4, 5, 6. Hello. Yes, welcome in, by the way. But yeah, if you've never seen the channel, this is just what we do. Build craziness. And live stream the process as we go. Am I crazy for thinking this doesn't quite look right? Probably need to use an actual circle and not just copy this, actually, is probably the main issue. Because, yeah, it would scale down slightly. Yeah, that's right. But it gets the idea across, I guess. Missed much? It's looking great. You missed... Well, I guess you showed up very, very late last stream, right at the very end. Unfortunately, right? Or literally right as I was finishing stream, but... We have essentially done most of the landscaping stuff. The island itself is roughly done. There's still work to be done, of course, but basics are done. Now I'm just getting this like upper level figured out as we go. Excited to see what Lady Monique builds. Yeah, she's built some really cool stuff in Grounded too. So I'm interested to see that like tree in the like cave in the middle of an island is really interesting. Have an older village, which I'm proud of, where I just jumped back into the game after a few months. And I'm starting a new village in the Blackmire. The detail you can add now is impressive. Yeah, that is like... I think the coolest part about this game is just the amount of detailing you can do is ridiculous. That's also the struggle, because I come from like... I built in Minecraft ages, like literally centuries ago, it feels like. Very, very early on for many, many years and had a lot of fun. But then just built in any and every game I've always kind of enjoyed. And so like I had built mega bases in Subnautica. Grounded is when I really started like actually making content and stuff. I just used to build things back in the day and never show them off or anything, but I just like building in games. But they're always been like Grounded is a very limiting build game. Use that lightly. It's not limiting, but there is nowhere near as much freedom as this game has. There you go. There's the link to join the Discord. We have some really cool builders in the Discord as well. Some people building some really, really good stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Way off. It'll be like that. Yeah, so we'll build... I'm going to keep building in Enshrouded for a long time, especially as they keep adding things. I'm hoping they add mod support in the long run and just more fun and cool things. And then I also plan on building in Subnautica 2 when that comes out. Very excited to build in Subnautica again. I had so much fun building in that game. Not that it's like the best building game ever made, but I just loved the game so much that it made building fun. Hey. Gosh. Move every block but the one I want. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, thus far, this is by far the most, like, in-depth, free building game. Like, there's just no other building game with building mechanics in it that allows for just, like, this much freedom. Valheim's close. I just don't enjoy Valheim is the issue. I wish I did, but I don't. This game is also just like visually stunning. Everywhere you look, it just looks good. And the terraforming with landscaping and stuff and how much I've done makes it work really well. Be cool to have a group of us play in Light No Fire when it comes out. Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot on it, but I've heard interesting things. That's who made crap, what's the game? The space game. That was like garbage, and then they updated it for years and turned it from a horrible game to a really good one. Started in Fallout. That's also a pretty good one. I haven't built a whole lot in it, but I did build some stuff a long time ago when I played. No Man's Sky. There you go. Thank you. I was like, I know it's on the tip of my tongue. I've heard very good things about Light No Fire. It does seem very... Yeah. Especially because they went from people that made the worst game to people that fixed the worst game. Not the worst game by any means, but they made a pretty bad game for what everyone thought it was going to be, and then to like turn it around from like such a bad game that just didn't do what everyone wanted it to turn it into something that like everyone loves. It's pretty impressive to do that. That takes some skill. No, I have No Man's Sky, and it's the best space exploration game you'll ever find. It does seem good. Going to be an Earth-sized planet, but fantasy and free roam with friends. Interesting. I mean, eventually, I'd love to have some like more community-style stuff as we go. The more time I have, the more we'll do that kind of stuff. In a perfect world, I'd be doing like Friday community streams where we'd play on like a community server or something like that. I think that'd be pretty fun. 8, 16, 6, right? $52. For anyone wondering, I'm looking at a circle generator. If I can do this stuff right. Seven. Oh, 5. 5. 4. The feeling Keen is inspired by Hello Games a little. They have the same work ethic and community relationship. Maybe when you're out of school, I know the feeling. I had no life whatsoever when I was in school. It was just school. Not that I didn't get to do fun stuff still, but it was mostly just school. Pratfall is doing some really cool things with this game. Yeah, they do. I've watched their streams quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. I'm definitely not necessarily like their type of community engagement necessarily. But I do enjoy the idea of at least like trying to do like some type of sub-server of some kind. I think would be really fun. Even if it's not Enshrouded, it could be another fun game. But I mostly focus on building, so at the same time, I don't want to get like too out of my own element. All right, what'd we screw up? Something wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good stuff, good stuff. This is what I'm talking about, Joe, with the planning. I find myself miscounting things all the time. What, 1, 2, 3. Those are even. Am I crazy? Seem off. Just something like that. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it is 1. Because that's even, right? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. No, that's 3, and then that counts as 1. So technically I'm 1 off. What did I do? Their Monday stream was building some kind of underground city space. Interesting. They've done a lot of random stuff because, I mean, they do those, like, parkour maps, and, I mean, they do a lot of random cool things. It's also the perks of, like, they have one of them that's just, like, building, and one of them that's doing other stuff, too. It's just me, myself, and I in here. Well. Oh, that's a 4. Okay, that's right. Do I just need to go 4? Oh, so then technically that starts there, actually. That's what I messed up. Jeez. Which is a little weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's right, actually. Never thought of using multiple colors like that for measuring. It's the only way I could tell the blocks apart, right? I was just sitting here like, yeah, because earlier I was just trying to draw out my base and like on a piece of graph paper, and I was just like, how many do I have? Like, I'm losing my mind. I made a little, like, each square on the graph paper equals another space, and I was like, the scale's right, but this is a nightmare to try to count. I was like, I don't want to do this. If you want to commit galactic war crimes, then you should definitely play No Man's Sky. I don't know if I want to commit galactic war crimes, but it would be fun to have some type of like community build type thing, but we need an exponentially larger community at this point to like actually have it make sense. Because as everyone has already said, we all have too many build projects going at the same time. And so, like, what's the point of making a sub-server if everyone just wants to work on their projects? So we just gotta keep growing. Which is all good. That's the goal, right? Little by little. I think as I continue to build ridiculous things, we'll slowly get everyone excited to be here. 1, 2, 3. Ah, there it is. There we go. We did it. Count these square blocks. 1. This checkered 4. What? You're saying like you can count the checkered blocks? Of course, the pattern like doesn't work though. Like it's skewed to it, so it's like you can kind of count them like this, but even like that, like my brain would read that, oh, that's 2 blocks, and then that's 3, but then it's like, no, this is 4. The textures make it really difficult. You fell asleep? Oh man, Oozin, you're funny. Sounds nice. Does anyone want to come build for me and I'll take a nap? Makes it harder to count? It really does, though. I love the patterning, though. That part's cool. Alright, so now it's like we got somewhere. Guess it's not even 10 yet. That's good. Originally, I tried... Oh, geez, we're dead. Yep. That even showed with the bounce in him. Oh, no. Why am I spawning here? And just dying? What is happening? No! Dude, what is going on? Let me live. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to go back to the main menu. Because, yeah, all I can do is respawn to my death. I'll have to record this and send it to the devs. Jeez. I don't understand how that makes sense because you always respawn back at your flame altar. So why am I respawning there? Like, what? Look, Pratfall community build. I've seen some of it. I just don't pay too much attention to it. The good old forever dying. That's how they get you. It's my own fault for missing the jump. At some point, I'm going to have to rework my bounce elevator to actually be a good bounce elevator. Eventually. It's amazing what they did. I've seen some. Just a little. But I'm pretty much blown away by everyone's builds I've seen so far. Like, I make cool stuff, but there are some people that are making some incredible things in this game, which is what makes it so exciting, I think, at the end of the day. Wonder if there's a version with grappling hook that would be good. You could, in theory, you could just grapple yourself up over and over again, but I wanted a bounce tower. With grappling, I have to use stamina. With trampolines, I just bounce. But this is just the first iteration. Oh no. Did we do it again? Don't die! This is the first iteration. I'm hoping I can make it exponentially more efficient than this. Is it the same one they live stream in? I know you had said on YouTube. But typically when they're doing a live stream, which is on YouTube, they, at least what I watch is on YouTube, they're just like running around chatting for a decent amount of the time, like in what I'm assuming is that world that you're talking about. Because if that's the one, then I've seen a decent amount of it just from them hopping around and talking for 20, 30 minutes. So the question is, do we end that there? Or do we pull this back? And I don't even know what that is anyways. Tough question. Found out yesterday that if you use the decay tool on the obsidian block, it gets rid of the silver edges and makes it so clean. Ooh, that's interesting. I kind of want to see that. as I've struggled with the obsidian block. I both really like it and have struggled finding a good place for it. Like, I like how clean it looks in the ceiling here when you don't see all of the extra stuff. It's not bad here where you get the cool edge detail, but when it's like a column, it starts becoming like so detailed compared to some of the other blocks that I don't... I've struggled finding like really useful ways to use it. What was crazy? What'd I do? Me dying over and over again? Mostly see people use it as a floor. Yeah, I think it looks good as a floor too. Like, it's a really cool block, but like detail-wise, the other blocks just don't have enough detail to like match it. Like, it's so ornamental. That's literally all it does. What? That's so good. Well, that changes everything. This game's incredible. Freaking serious. What a cool little change. That's all it does is just get rid of the extra detail. Dude, that looks so much better. That's what I wanted that block to be the whole time. Get rid of the columns, the little bottom detail. Ugh, that looks really good. Because then you could come in and like... I don't have white blocks, but... I'm impressed. I'm just happy you're awake. I've seen people do that with white, where they make it like a little torch or a little light structure thing. That looks so much nicer. That's the detail. Love the bounce tower? Thanks. I played so much Grounded that I really wanted a bounce tower because I was like, how do I get up and see this build? Like, I want to look down on it to get a better idea instead of doing what I did over there, which is place 5,000 platforms to jump up. I was like, why don't I just build a tower? Because eventually there's going to be... We're so far off of this, so it's pipe dreams way down the road. Eventually, around the whole edge of this thing, there's going to be, pretty much following this exact path all the way around, there's going to be a big wall, a big old castle wall made out of the same highly polished stone. And then somewhere in this general area, I think I'm going to have a big watchtower built on this platform. It already feels like a perfect place. Like, get rid of this mound here and just flatten it out to this. And then build a cool, like, alchemist watchtower or something along those lines. And I was like, well, the bounce tower would be a perfect test there because then I can check out my build and do my thing. And then eventually, I want to build a little door. Because there'll be a path in some way, shape, or form that gets you all the way to the top of this thing. But, like, who's going to walk up a path that goes, like, carves into the mountain or whatever? So eventually it'll just be somewhere here. There'll be a little secret passage doorway thing. And inside the mountain itself, like this whole thing, that's where the actual bounce tower will be. That's the idea, at least. So it was a good test, but I need to rework it to make it work better. Because I find myself falling down it if I'm not paying attention. It's really easy to just fall down the whole thing. What if the castle's throne room was all obsidian with the luminescent block? That'd be cool. I've seen some really cool ones of that. So I'm not now that I've seen that block used with the decay tool, it's much more interesting. Because I'm using a lot of polished stone right now, but this is going to have a very... It's almost like yin and yang, I guess, is kind of the thought process. Where... Dude, a circus cannon, that would be wonderful. just launch myself out of it. So I'm using a lot of highly polished block at the moment, and that's not going to be everything by any means. It's going to be more the way this is looking, where the bottom is going to have sort of a darker palette of blocks, and then it slowly sort of transitions and fades into, or like a gradient almost, of into the highly polished stone. I'll show off my example because I don't think very many people were in stream last week when I showed this off, but this is the main precedent image I'm working off of. So this is like, the scale is exponentially larger than what I'm working with, so we're going to have to like scale all of this down quite a bit. But my idea is that there's going to be sort of a main entrance here and a darker stone. I'm thinking this is a dragon stone. So I'm thinking something along this. Actually, Uzin, you sort of inspired the idea. You had said like, oh, dude, the like the granite, essentially. The like granite hillsides. And I was like, well, you can't really do that with the terrain granite itself because it almost just looks like stone. I wish it was like black or darker or something like this. But I can do this with a combination of the granite stone and the granite blocks. So the front entrance is going to be this sort of like maybe slightly more organic. It won't, I don't think I'm going to have a dragon, but maybe. I mean, there's some really cool dragon heads, honestly. So maybe it has a dragon head. Maybe we sculpt some fun stuff out of the terrain blocks and do some really cool stuff. But some sort of darker, more jagged piece like this. So maybe less stonework here and more like actual blocks. But the idea being that this lower level, sort of in the same way that this, you can kind of see like is building its way up the building, like stacking and sort of like there's this darker material and a lighter material. Anywhere you see this like super bright material, I'm thinking highly polished stone, and then some type of like overlay or like a sleeve. So like if you think of like a sleeve that you would put over something, but then the dark material will be a sleeve over the lighter material, and then sort of the lighter material will come out of the top of that is kind of the idea I'm working through. So if you thought of like some cool tower like this with some dark like accent pieces and then sort of a highly polished stone in the middle, and then sort of some type of front entrance like this, and then this is like behind this layer is where the white highly polished stone kind of comes out of. Sort of the idea I'm kind of working through. But of course, those things are at such ridiculous proportions. There's a lot of like reworking of those designs to make them actually function in the game in the way I want to work with them. I do worry they just haven't finished the Decay Obsidian interaction and suddenly it won't do that anymore. I would cry. That would be depressing because it's so much better that way. I had the same idea with the bounce tower, but in a hollowed out tree, and the bounces would shoot you out of the tree and you have to grapple back into the tree all the way up. Dude, that'd be really fun. That'd be really fun. Then when you get to the top, you could swirl down the outside of the tree with ice. Dude, do it. That'd be super fun. There's definitely a more efficient way to do this, is the hope. The only struggle is that they don't bounce you sideways. They still, even when they're angled, they still kind of bounce you straight up. So that's been the struggle currently with the design, is either I think I need to bring it in probably to like here and make it way smaller. That way you have less chance of killing yourself over and over again. Which isn't super hard, but they were kind of annoying to place. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I hope I can find a more like in a perfect world, it'd be more like Mario, where you like wall jump back and forth, and it's like this super quick, like boing, 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 and it just goes. But unfortunately, the angle at which you bounce doesn't really change. Which maybe that's something they change eventually. I don't know. The basalt pillars things look, thing just looks really cool in my head. Yeah. And that's what originally, like, what I really liked is I started out with the highly polished stone on, like, everything. So, like, this whole thing was mostly highly polished stone with a little bit of the weathered stone, like the pillars. And it just was like too bright and too light. And then I made this thing, and I was like, well, obviously this aesthetic is now what I really like, and I really like the granite blocks. Whether it be the polished or the regular, I really like both of them. And once I made this, I was like, okay, this is the darker aesthetic that I like personally. And so you're going to get some of the main features being darker, more like sinister and evil. And then like the places that haven't been necessarily touched by the corruption will be the more highly polished stone pieces. So I am sort of thinking that we might have some of the corruption maybe getting into this and stuff as things go on. And so that like basalt pillar look is something I want to bring into the lower section of this too. But I think what we're going to do is get the lower level of the castle figured out before I come back and start reworking this, because although I like the direction this was heading, it still feels like I could do better. So I think that will start to emphasize the core kind of design that I'm looking for. The style, I guess, is a better word for it. That'll give me the real stylistic look of everything. And then once that's figured out, that aesthetic will kind of come to this stuff. Where I like the upper portion being a highly polished stone, but then I want that almost pillar look with the this lower area. Because I think that's just going to match this darker, creepy style more. And then I think it'll be really interesting because it'll be like, there's a handful of cities and stuff. Whoa. I didn't realize that got that big. That's a big tree. Holy cow. I didn't quite think all of this stuff through as I was going, but I do really like this style more so. And so I want to have that reflected throughout the whole build. But then it'll be, as I was saying, the city itself will be like, I'm basing the entire thing off of this picture because I think this picture is so incredible. This aesthetic here is what the whole city is going to be like. So it'll be like the city itself was this highly polished, like very nice looking. If people are a fan of Lord of the Rings, I cannot for the life of me remember this freaking, it's something with an E, Edina or something like that. Gondon? No, not Gondor. What is it? I can't remember, but this is like not something you really see in Lord of the Rings, but this is a city from Lord of the Rings, and I really like this like highly polished outer wall with a big tower in the center. So I'm kind of basing it off of it. Plus, we're like on like individual mountain, very similar to this, so it just makes a lot of sense. And so I want to keep that highly polished stone look throughout the whole city, but then I like the idea of having this like darker, corrupted craziness as the infected portions or the corrupted portions are like look more dark and sinister as they like are being taken over. So the front entrance place where I showed off the basalt or the granite blocks is gonna be at least partially taken over by the corruption. I don't know how much necessarily, but the corruption will be like starting to come over this and take over different portions. And so luminescent throne, maybe in some way. I don't hate the idea because that's like the whole point is that you got greedy, you opened the catacombs, and released through the greed, released the infection or the corruption. And so it's specifically going after the throne and not the rest of the city. So it's like it's taking over, but it's like the rest of the city is going to still be this kind of like highly polished, cool town. I don't know if it's going to have quite as much like green roofs as the image I had just shown, but the idea being that the corrupted areas are going to have darker mixes of materials, and then the non-corrupted material areas of the town are going to be more of a highly polished stone. But there always will be some type of mixture in materials, I think. It definitely will never just be one or the other. But I can already see this being really interesting. You can do so many weird things with this. Talk about detailing. Like, how crazy do you want to get? You could spend years detailing in this game, man. That is what's so incredible to me. And I love that everything like is so unique in its own way. Like, I think it's so cool that each block gets its own sort of like, when you decay part of it, it looks different between the different blocks. You get different shapes that come out of them. Like this, this stuff gets like crazy broken. So you get like a very, very heavy destroyed look when you do it. Which is very interesting. Like the combination between them I think is going to be pretty cool. And then I think a lot of this flooring is going to have like a mixture as well. Where like we might get more polished. Like some type of polished granite like built throughout these. Like maybe in the center of each of these. And then we'll start doing patterns throughout it. It's going to have a lot of detail as we go. Wonder if you did like a mini alley that has speckled corruption, maybe it leads to a well that drops into a lower level room, like in the city. Interesting. Have this image. Where is it? Yeah. Just keep showing off all my precedent images. So one thing I want to do, if you thought of this as the luminescent growth block, I want this somewhere within the overall, the dwarven place underneath this is going to have a place where I'm thinking the collector, just because he looks the creepiest. He just fits that like creepy style. Leave main monitor up so I can just go back and forth. I think he fits the style correct, where like he looks like someone who's going to be testing and experimenting with this craziness. And so he will have a space somewhere within this area that is going to have this sort of thing designed, where there's going to be like luminescent growth and the blue luminescent blocks built within it, and some type of platform thing, cage, whatever it's going to be, containment chamber sort of design. And then the idea that I really like of this, where I have no clue what this is for and what this is doing, but my idea is that he's like essentially testing and researching the luminescent growth, but then within his own room the luminescent growth is going to be like expanding out of the ceiling and taking over as well. And so there'll be like test areas. There's like so many cool ideas I have for this whole thing. I'm also looking at a lot of other images for like cool details that we can do for the towers, for all sorts of little stuff. There's going to be a library. I love the idea of floating books and stuff. That's going to be something we definitely do. This had an interesting look to it. If you don't have a Pinterest, get a Pinterest. It's the best thing in the world. I really like this dark look, and maybe doing some more like terrain work like this as well through these pathways and stuff. I like this for maybe my front entrance of the dwarven area. A little darker and evil. Some of this stuff's like so crazy. Like that's way too much detail, but I like the front entrance of this. Sort of a combination of this and the other image that I was looking at earlier, this. And then just like some enshrouded details that I've like how they made some of these details out. So like actually make this a functional structure built in Enshrouded. Because that's the struggle, is like how do you take these images that are built in ways that this game doesn't allow? And how do you make them come to life in the game? It's a great contrast. It looks nice. Yeah. I mean, that's what I did in Grounded too. I'd use like these mushroom blocks that were white and then ash cement, which is like a dark gray material. And I just really liked the like dark material with a really light background styling wise. And then the luminescent growth looks really good. Like the blue looks really nice with the dark as well. I hate Pinterest because I just want to see a damn pic without logging in. Oh, I've had a Pinterest. I was in architecture school, so if you didn't have a Pinterest, you just were missing out on life. It's just one of those things you had to have. One, two, three, four. Dang it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But yeah, that's like the thing. Like if you don't have a login, then you can't make the boards, which is the whole thing. I want MySpace back. Dude, there was nothing, no more drama in life than the top 10 system, man. Good times. What's the flame altar always? Did it just show up? Sorry, what do you mean? Was the flame altar there, you saying this one? Or which flame altar? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I do miss the simplicity of MySpace back in the day. I just got to put music on my channel or on my page and blast my favorite song. That was all I ever really did, was just play cool songs, put them on my page. I miss that like customization though, for sure. Those were good days. Very good times. Now social media's garbage. I didn't hate Facebook early on, but God, it's so bad now. Instagram's worthless. So much of it's just bad. But yes. But sorry, what was your question on the flame altar there? Is it Labalsi? Let me know if I butchered that or not. It's like it's too dark of a material right now, but I think once we get all of the inlays and like, I mean, this is all probably going to be either water, I guess ice, or like the moss or grass blocks of some kind, dirt, with plants and stuff in it, foliage, so it'll break everything up. It will not look as light as this, for sure. I actually just had to delete. I still have a Facebook, but I had to delete. Like I deleted the app on my phone. I deleted the quick what is it? Words. Shortcut. Can't think. Labalzi. I bought it. That's the hard part. Is I read everything horribly. But I never know if I'm saying it right or not. Instagram for business and stuff's fine, but like at this point, like, why am I like the only thing I'd post pictures of is like my son. Yeah, the Instagram app on my phone. Oh, sorry. I have a shortcut. The ball Z. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I just got tired. Well, it's also like Facebook is just it's literally just stupid AI images now. Like there's literally nothing. Half the posts that show up are just like AI garbage. Like that's like what's pissing me off is it's the same thing. Like even YouTube is having that issue where like everyone's making AI thumbnails and AI this, and I'm like, dude, you're just ruining the whole point of this app is to like show off your creativity and do interesting things. Like don't just use AI for everything. It's just stupid. There's nothing wrong with using it for little things here and there and to help you like rewrite your, like I use it to write professional work emails and rework resume and like get my wording better. But if all you're using it for is to like get over the lack of skills, like it's no longer, it's not good. We're not using things correctly at that point. The point of this stuff is to be creative. The fact that YouTube, when you upload a video, has a thing that says, is this user-generated content or like AI? And like that's actually something that's an option, that's super lame. I feel like the way I explained it is stronger. Reminds me of the Jeopardy sketch. It's now. Let us know. Love it. And AI do some product research for me, but that's the thing. Like you're using it in a way to enhance what you're doing, which I think is incredible. I think that's what it's made for. Is AI is a tool to help you enhance and speed up the process. It is not a tool to do the process for you. It's like I saw a video that like someone was losing their mind because they're like, you all put like all the people in a class in, it's probably a skit anyways, but I guarantee you it happens because I have heard of people getting in trouble for just using AI because it's obvious. Like it's not like it writes in this way that is super intelligent and comprehensible. Like it's bad. It just does a better job getting ideas out and like formulated, but then you have to go back and you have to change it and you have to work with it. It isn't like, it's not intelligent. It's just automatically generated. So at least you can like broaden the way you think about it, or like I like throwing in a bunch of ideas and saying like organize this into a understandable sentence. But then I still go back and I have to change it and make the grammar more correct and more natural because nothing about it feels natural. But then like the AI art is like you end up with like 2 left hands and people still use it like it's incredible and they're like, no. The whole AI image thing is also like, it should be illegal because it's just stealing people's ideas. That's also the struggle of it, is that AI imagery is more than likely using someone else's intellectual property to study and generate the images. So then it's even worse. Yeah, AI fart. Not even art. AI fart is better. I liked it for the idea that you could use it as like create a castle. Like it created really cool imagery, but it didn't create good art by any means. That's where it loses me. Just build me a housekeeper robot already. That'd be more useful. Is an artist AI is a very sour topic? Yeah. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I think for the most part, people are using it incredibly poorly. It's just a way for them to like, it's just the same crap that is the whole problem with the world right now, is everyone just wants to make crap tons of money instead of doing good of any kind. And so for me, it's like, I don't have a problem with like using AI and doing like things if you're using it right. But if you're just like, it was like what metas or whatever, like, I mean, they literally essentially stole thousands of people's intellectual property to train their programs, which is like, okay, that's should be illegal. Those sort of things frustrate me as also a designer and an artist and someone that does creative thinking. I have no problem looking at stuff. Like, I'm assuming a decent amount of these images that I showed you guys are probably AI generated, but I don't go and post them on the internet for my thumbnail. Like I watched vidIQ is a YouTube channel that has a really cool plugin for YouTube analytics, and they go over like what they talk about YouTube updates and creator stuff and like what to do and what not to do on YouTube and how to grow and streaming and just general tips and advice and stuff. And they do a live stream where you can send them thumbnails or your channel, and they review your thumbnails or channel for you. And half the time they're like, all right, well, I can't really help you because you're just using AI generated thumbnails. And they're like, did you try like not using AI? Because it's like, it's just bad most of the time. It looks off. It's poorly generated most of the time. It just gets weird. And then it just starts ruining creativity in general. You can use it for inspiration, but you shouldn't be labeling it as your own art for sure. I was thinking of a design for a mining equipment that uses AI and radar to detect minerals and drill a small bot to location, since mining is a very dangerous job with largely polluting equipment. Yeah, if you could use it for something like that, that's all good. It's more so I think it just needs to stay out of art in general. Like using AI as a starting point for a theme, exactly. I think everyone needs to think of AI, no matter how good it gets, it's not a replacement. And anyone, like, it's the same people like, we're gonna replace people with AI, and you're like, no, you're maybe some jobs, maybe some positions and stuff, but unless you have like basic common sense, that's where AI falls short. Is there's no common sense. It doesn't, like, it can't think. It just generates based off of code and previous like inputs. And so you end up with this like not really well thought out anything when you use it. So exactly like what you were saying, XYZ. Like I love it for AI generated imagery just to like get my idea off the ground. Outside of that, I hate it. Especially because most of it just doesn't look good. It looks fake. It looks weird. So far, the only good uses I've seen out of it is to troll people doing funny things. But then, like, people are using it to, like, generate, like, athletes and, like, just non-existent things. I think that's really bad for everything as well. There's just so many bad things that come with it that people are just, like, completely overlook. I think it has uses for sure, but I also think that there's a limit to that, how that stuff should work and be allowed to be used. And if it starts off with stealing people's ideas to train it, then that it's automatically a bad start. Because I could use a song for 5 seconds for literally 3 seconds in a video, and I'll get copyright infringement, but an AI model can just take someone's intellectual property and use it to train it and use it to create things for other people, and you're like, well, that's just not great. Not great for creative communities. Unfortunate. But when there's that much money on the line, unfortunately, people don't see the bad. They only see the dollar signs. Which is probably the biggest issue with society in general these days. Nothing wrong with making lots of money, man, but there's so much more out there. We all want to be rich. We all want to take care of our families, but man, at the end of the day, you gotta have some morality in the way you do it. You have to step on the little people to get there. It's not good for anyone. It's only good for one person. You have to steal ideas if you have to do any of that kind of stuff. But that's just me. It's a supplement, not a substitute. Yeah, same as people thinking steroids will get them big. Sure, as long as you put in the work it'll help. AI is the same. Yeah, it's not cheating if used right and the effort is put in. There was a top influencer on Instagram that was AI generated. Yeah, that's just like, there's literally someone like made a video I saw on YouTube that was like how to make completely AI generated channels. And I'm like, what is that? Like, the whole point of YouTube is to like do creative, fun things. Like, there's nothing creative about that process. Like, is that really what you're gonna use? We're gonna start making YouTube channels that are just AI? Like, that's so lame. You're creating fictional hot chicks to scam people for money. Like, okay, that's a waste of life. We can do better. But yeah, it's definitely a supplement. It isn't like, it's not how you make the end product. It's how you like inspire the end product. It's how you communicate better. Especially how I use it. It's like a way to get my words on paper. But nothing more than that. I do worry about it taking lower level jobs, which people like the comeback of it'll create jobs, but the unemployment we currently deal with doesn't make more jobs. Yeah. Well, and again, like, at the end of the day, it can replace jobs, but it like, should it? Just because it can doesn't mean it's like good. Doesn't mean it's gonna like literally save all that much money. There may be jobs where it would make sense. Or like you had said, like dangerous mining jobs that maybe people don't need to be doing. Like people sacrificing their life to be like coal miners and stuff, because that's just, they have no other options. Like, we could find better options. We could do that kind of stuff. Like, we don't need people dying mining for natural resources that are outdated and not great for the environment anyways. So I could see some positives for it in that sense, but there's also like huge negatives. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, I think is what people need to realize. I always use the farmer analogy. I can't go take a farmer's corn and say, well, I made corn chips so I don't have to pay for the corn because it's a new thing, right? Yeah, the world doesn't function without farmers. The world doesn't function without a lot of those things. It's automated now. It's disgusting. Shorts is filled with AI garbage. Dude, seriously. Like, I like watching stuff because I find it uniquely entertaining. Like, it doesn't really matter what the person's doing if they do it at a good level. Like, I love that YouTube can be, like, I was watching like I was saying, vidIQ, and they were reviewing, like, this guy who does inexpensive watch reviews instead of, like, I spent $10,000 and trying to be Mr. Beast and just putting more and more money into your videos and having no, like, return on it. Where it's like, this $10,000 watch. It's like, most people can't buy that, so why are they watching that stuff? But this guy was like, hey, it's like, here's a watch that looks really good and it's inexpensive. And it's a budget-friendly one. And I love that, like, YouTube allows people to do stuff like that, because I'm the type of person that's like, oh, when I go look at a bike, I want to look at people's honest reviews of it. I want to see how they liked it. I want to see the budget version versus the expensive model. Same with cars. Same with, like, anything I buy. All sorts of stuff. Games, different reviews and that stuff. There's just so much, like, good out of it, but then people just do crap work with the AI stuff and are just trying to make channels that explode and make a lot of money. In regards to image generation specifically, oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't take someone's idea and slightly change it and then call it your own. It has to be significantly different. Is this grass showing through? There we go. Gone now. So the question is, should this be water or should it be grass? That's the question. But yeah, I've thought, since I use like ChatGPT and stuff on a daily basis, just helping write out useful emails. I used it today to help write descriptions for like my resume and like create more fluid sentences that I am not great at doing on a regular basis. So there's some uses for it, but also huge negatives. But that's a lot of things in life. Many things too much of a good thing. There's always too much of a good thing. Okay, that's sort of interesting. Probably needs to be at least one layer higher. And then probably maybe granite, one of the granite blocks to do these highlights almost. That could be kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to look up some interesting plazas and stuff. It's funny, I felt like I had so much, not so much done, but I had so much stuff like when we first started stream, and now I have less. It's the same, but different. Should be both. Water with some grass islands in it, that could work. Like a little fountain or some kind. And this is where, like, oh, I could spend weeks just sitting here designing just the landscaping for this. It's like I'm looking at it and I'm like, in the same way that I was doing this, where is it? Down here. Like, I could create some cool little, with a different window, use some of the ice and like create a cool little fountain structure of some kind. That'd be pretty interesting. I think if the arched entry is open with columns, then do grass. But if it's enclosed, do water. Arched entries. What arched entry? Am I doing an arched entry? I don't even know if I'm doing that or not. This will be pretty much open. I guess it could have some effects like that stuff. But I was more so thinking like, probably not much higher than this. Good news is, this is a big reason I enjoy using symmetry. Let's see. Because I can build one side of this one way and the other side totally different. And then see what I like and don't like. A little ducky pond. So the nice thing with a pond is then we can like double down. Because what I'm thinking is like some of this is gonna be destroyed. Like you can't have this thing just directly rip out of the ground and assume nothing gets damaged. Like something in here outside of just these like outer portions that like in theory, like, yes, this connected to the stairs. So this portion, part of this needs to be like destroyed in some way, shape, or form. So it'll come in and we'll have some randomness, some random blocks and stuff, and it'll get weird like that. But then like realistically, if this stuff broke, like somewhere here, we could have a pond here and then some like crack almost where this broke in some way, shape, or form. And then what I'm thinking is that then we could have some like water effects dripping off this edge. Especially since I'm like thinking in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it's aqueducts or just like trenches that those water goes through, but I just like the idea of water, especially since they're potentially going to be adding water in the long run. I like the idea of just making places for water to flow. So like what if the water, this area, like I decay this spot and it cracks and it looks like this water is like running from the top here, somehow goes down somewhere. This water is getting like brought to this still. Because like in theory, we could build this in a way that like some of it was destroyed, this thing was ripped up, and they couldn't stop it from being ripped up further. But we could make it in a way that like maybe they built some quick things to make this still function. So like the water comes down and goes that way and does its whole thing like normal, but then like maybe an aqueduct was built at a later period of time and comes down through here, so it still like still has access to this water in some way. Like maybe the water runs here, maybe it runs around stuff and creates some other ponds and stuff. Maybe this just looks like a pond in some way, shape, or form, and then there's a crack and it allows water to come down off of it. Because along with the luminescent blocks, I think having some like water features falling down creates an interesting sense of movement, I guess, in a perfectly still environment. Now, if they make water moving, then that's all up in the air and totally changes my thought process on the whole thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Just some of the random ideas running through my brain. No, I just thought about it. I spent way too much time earlier today redrawing this circle, this like half circle sort of thing, getting it actually drawn to like the correct scale, and then I changed it just barely, so now I have to erase it all and redo it. Dang it. I hate when I do that. Could have one pond still functioning and the other's almost out of water. That could work too. That would definitely give like that sense of movement, and it would make it very interesting. Give it more life. And yes, I could be using the more efficient block sizes here, but that would require me scrolling. Question is, like, how perfect is the pond going to be? Just a little pond. A perfect little circle, that's it. And then, like, how do we detail this out? Maybe, like, just a little bit around the edge with the grass or something. Not a ton. Some bulbous water. Get in your home. Hey. Moving too fast. Yeah, I guess the question is, it like an organic, or is it more of like a, here's your, like something like, come here. Like do something inset more. Like say, hey, this is 2 around the edge or something like that. And then this gets filled with more vegetation of some kind. I like that frames it a little more. What about at a separation, the corruption is seen holding the pieces together like are showing through concrete. You could do something like that here. So before I added this French chateau style, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think similar. Like it's like an inset pool almost, but it's a pond. Yeah, yeah. Kind of what I'm thinking. So like, what is this shape? What is this sort of thing? You get some nice planter spaces. My brain tends to go to the more like organized thought process, or like you get this is already sort of there with the structure of how this little planter area or garden area works, but then like slightly inset, I think makes sense. It's just what's the shape, what's the size of it. You could get in and where's my, do I have foliage? I don't even have foliage out. Oh, sorry. One sec, XYZ. Let me grab this foliage, and then I was gonna show you the other idea I have going over there. You probably get a good idea of it from down here, anyways. All this still has we have a lot of landscaping to do to fill this all in, but you can sort of see here what I'm doing is these two parts, because there's a weird, like, huge rise here in the terrain, it was getting really difficult to make this section connect to this section. Like, you just had this, like, huge ramp. And so it was like, what would you do? Like, realistically, what would you do with that space that's, like, just a hill that was lifted out of the ground? And I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Having this huge slope. And so I was like, what do we do with this space where we can use it? Because it was about this high, I think. Just a little lower. But if I was raising it up the same amount as I raised all the other land up, this side was just so much taller. It was really weird. So what I'm doing is that this section is going to be sort of ripping its own, like into its own sort of like platform. So there'll be more decay and craziness happening here. So that would be a place where, because I was looking at the Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar. Good night, Beans. Hope you have a great rest of your night, man, and a good day tomorrow. So yeah, the Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar, they have those, like, the vines that kind of connect them and stuff, and I was like, that could be an interesting thing to sort of, like, somehow tie this together in different ways, and then you could see these, like, strands of growth kind of connecting these almost. So that's sort of an idea I have with that little section. Dude, what are the chances we did all that? Was like perfect place to fall and almost die. That's also why I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I just was placing blocks for fun. Thank you for the follow, Taryn. You're having a good night. Yeah, so now, I mean, we have a lot of terrain work over here to do, but I'm sort of thinking of some type of tower area. I don't know. I have too many ideas. That's the struggle right now, is I have so many ideas. So it's like, how do we tie each one of them together? I just kind of have to slowly build out little section by little section and see how it inspires the next one. But yeah, this will all probably get torn down a little bit. I don't necessarily think it needs to be quite so high, especially because this all changes too. What's the major theme? It's a good question. So like if I'm looking at like the main thing that I'm using is like my precedent image, an image I'm working off of. This is a city in Lord of the Rings. And I can't for the life of me remember the name right now. Something with an E. But I really liked the like white city on top of a mountain, an individual mountain. Like that's on its own. So that's sort of like what drove the whole thing. And then from there, I'm just messing with the idea of like corruption and the shroud in the game in general. So like this is all being taken over by the luminescent growth and the mycelium. Not Gundar, no. It's like Edarin. It's not Edoris. My brain keeps jumping to Edoris, and I'm like, it's not that. It's like Edarin or something like that. Decay and destruction are the themes a little bit. Yeah, just that white city built on a big mountaintop, because that's what essentially where we're building. Was it in the movie? I don't think it is. I think it's like a separate part of the lore, and that's why I can't freaking remember the name, because it's really hard to find. Unless you know the name of it, it's really hard to find images on it. And I just like randomly stumbled upon it, and then I was like, wait a second. That's a Lord of the Rings thing. Which has inspired a lot of my random builds anyways. But right now what we're doing is the luminescent growth is like a corruption that was released from the Mistberry catacombs. We have these 4 altars that let us build like way out around this thing. So we're going to build a whole city and fortress in this whole area. And then the corruption that was released from the catacombs underneath the city, because it's built literally right on top of them, is like corrupting and ripping this out of the ground. Yeah. Oh no. Yep, that didn't work. So I need to be able to take the building tool, turn the building tool off while I'm flying. Dude, really? Moving too fast for my own good. Let's go up the bounce tower. Yeah, I could definitely make this a little more efficient. But yeah, so this was all flat down here, and so this is all like an island that's being ripped out of the ground, and it's floating, yeah, is the idea. And then what you kind of see here, that's where the floating is, but it'll have the same luminescent growth, like creeping up the sides and slowly taking over the castle as well. Just kind of making a crazy, insane structure and having fun with it. And then we'll have a village or a little city with houses in town for the town folks and all the NPCs and stuff that go all throughout the center. The big white wall that you saw in the image I showed that goes all the way around the outside. You like the blue? What blue? That blue? Yeah, we'll do like a library, museum over here, housing all throughout this area, and market and shops and stuff. A watchtower, castle walls all the way around, houses maybe up in the hills and stuff too, once we figure that out. Yeah, I think I'm liking the water effect. Maybe it might, the scale's not quite right yet, but it's going in the right direction. And I like the idea of being able to like have water like cascading off of this floating island too, because then it just gives the effect of movement and life in general. It makes it, like, you look at the water flowing off. I think the luminescent growth is going to have a huge amount of contrast, which I think will be really good for making this look more like a floating island, since it's not a floating island yet. Maybe in a couple years it'll be way up in the sky, but it's not there yet. So the more natural stuff we can have, I think the more it'll help sell the effect that it is the start of a floating island. So things running off and just floating into nothingness almost is going to give that effect, the correct effect. But yeah, I agree. I think it needs more. The water effect, I think, is the right direction here. But it might be a little too much water. I want this block to work like these blocks. I'm struggling with that specifically. That these terrain blocks can just be like, as long as they're not over the top of the block, like they just place correctly, whereas this one, it doesn't like sink into the ground, so it's just always this weird mound. It'd be way more useful the other way around. It's not horrible for removing, I guess, but outside of that, I don't really like it. But yeah, then I think once we get the dark, like, accents, I think that's when this is going to really start to come to life. I think I'm going to have to measure out circles again, too, for this. I'm going to have to live on this stupid circle generator for this area. It's not as easy as just measuring out and changing it. They're always slightly different. Keep that. And vertical thin terrain blocks. That would be... I want like a wall. A terrain wall. I want this block in terrain. I want this block in terrain. And I want this block in terrain. Those three would be really nice. And I find this fairly useless. Because it's just that. Like, it's not much use for me to have a one block that's just a slightly smaller version of the same one. And, like, you can use this one to do flat terrain, like flat walls, but then, like, you're just left with this weird extra stuff all the time. Which I'm not enjoying as much. Almost think this needs to be, like, maybe one over. Like this. Then we can put some plants and stuff. Oops. Yeah, if it's like 3 blocks, I think that feels a little bit better. Because bushes and some stuff will look really nice in this area too. That'll help really bring it to life. Given us that needs to be power washed feel. How my car looks right now. That thing needs to be cleaned. Worst part about living in a mountain town is that your car is just covered in red rock and dirt all winter. Especially as someone who did for a period in my life, did car detailing. It feels horrible having a car that's just disgusting, but... so is life sometimes, I guess. It's a mess. Yeah, it'd be something like that, I guess. Let's see. Sugarcane looks really good on the edge of ponds. You can grow it on a lower block and then put another dirt block on top to shorten them. Interesting. I don't think I've grown sugarcane. All I did was I planted all these trees because I was like, well, I want to see every tree. I thought it was every tree. I don't even know what that is. Oh. Apparently I grew flowers. Mostly wanted to see the bushes, but the bushes are a little... And this tree is freaking huge. I was not expecting that tree to... I didn't know that one grew that big. Why do they let you grow this big tree from the like desert area, but they don't let you grow the massive ones from the blackmire? I want this to be the blackmire trees with the new like twisted roots and stuff. Those look so cool. I'd love to plant a bunch of those. This just looks weird now. Yikes. good to know. It's nice that there's a decent, like, option for scale for the trees. Like, one really tall one. This one's, like, more broad and wide. That's, like, a tall, skinny, but it's not quite as big. It's, like, kind of old school. Old school? It's, like, old, random, wide-growing tree. It's a little hard to tell there, but then, like, and this one's a little... This one needs a little love. It's like it never got pruned properly and it filled out. It's like me trying to grow facial hair. That's what that is. It's exactly what it's like. Outside of the mustache, I got nothing. Hopefully they just keep adding more plants and all that too. Found that makes a huge difference in how all this stuff looks. I'll have to try. It'll be interesting, like, testing out all the landscape stuff, too. I think most of this center area is going to be used for planting random things like trees and all that. Just to test things out as I go. Put a chest with the seeds next to each tree to remember what they are. You know, I did do that, actually. In a way. It's organized in the order of the trees. So I do know. I just didn't look. It tends to be a fault of mine where I just get too into it and I start looking at stuff and forget that I did that specifically for that reason, so I knew what the heck I was growing. That was Lady Monique was asking about the trees and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll go plant all the trees and then I can show her, and then I spaced the whole thing and forgot they even grew. Okay. That was the wrong spot. Well, that's obviously not the shape of this, but something like that, and then like this like fracture. That's gonna be the harder part, is like, how do we fracture this so it looks like the water is like naturally flowing? The decay tool will help, of course, but be something, some way to create like a cool crevice. Maybe that's like where something like this little detail comes into play. Doing something like this, where like maybe if I decay these, so like this gap look, and then you get this like cool effect, that could be interesting. That's probably the way to do it. I think that would make sense. It's probably going to be the easiest way. Just put a little gap in between them and decay it out. Just has to be the right block. And then like you walk over to this area and it's like literally a cracked, falling apart little thing. I think that'll look really interesting. And then this one could be just like more almost dried out, I guess, too. Or I guess maybe this one doesn't have much water and this one has a lot of water because it's not. I don't know. Either one could work. And then we can go ice skating, which is just great. Big Kindle Waste tree reminds me of the tree the bad guy comes from in the Fern Gully movie. So why does that sound so familiar? Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's such a weird tree. I don't know. Like, why is it so bulbous at the bottom? And so, I guess maybe it's like holding water or something, since it's a desert tree. Really weird, though. I can't see myself, like, where I would ever plant that tree. Like, like around a base, it's just so big and weird. I just can't imagine where you would actually use that tree. Just seems weird. Whee. Build a small arched bridge and connect the two ponds. Interesting. You've turned into my new Luderav, Joe. Luderav always used to be in streams just like giving me ideas, but I stream too late for him now. I used to stream an hour, well, I tried to stream an hour earlier and it ended up more often than not me not streaming because I couldn't stream early enough and then it just fell apart. So I had to be more consistent when my son went to bed. But Luderav was always around just like shooting me ideas like this. It's nice. It's nice having like, that's why I love doing this is like, as much as I could build a lot more just sitting on my computer and building, but I didn't get the interaction that I get with viewers and like shooting ideas, bouncing things off each other. That's what the same reason I have the Discord is like now, because you guys do it for me during the live streams, and then I get to help you guys in the Discord and stuff. Now, I haven't helped with a whole lot of ideas because your ideas have been really good. You haven't needed much input, but I love being able to help people because people help give me ideas and stuff. Exactly how I am going to use that tree, but it will be a surprise. I'm interested because I got nothing. That one's out of my comfort zone. Make it the pinnacle of your entire town. I mean, it's big enough. It's definitely big enough. Ooh, almost fell. All right, this is starting to get interesting. I know we didn't actually work on the castle, and I know we said like last Friday I was going to start working on the castle. We've made it a whole week, and we haven't really gotten anywhere. But this is the slow planning process that I typically go through. As soon as we get the like rough floor plan figured out, that's when the details just like start to go insane. For me, at least. Like once the walls start going up and I start like getting to mess with the actual architectural elements, that's when we start building a lot faster. But I prefer liking how I've laid the building out before I just go like absolutely insane. Like I did here, I just started going crazy and then I like wanted to redo a bunch of it. Whereas like I'm already seeing the potential in the direction I want to head with this, which is good. I'm here this late because my son doesn't go to sleep. So how does that work? Is he just up playing? Is he watching with you? Is he... Because like I can't start streaming and doing my own thing till my son's asleep. So like what is he doing? Because if my son stayed up until 12, like we'd be good to go. But he's 2 at the same time. I think your kid's a little older, if I remember correctly. So is he just up playing games and you're just watching this and doing your thing too? My statue is the main thing in my town. Yeah. I hope they add more statues too. I mean, I'm sure they will, but I really want more statues. That could be another thing we do. There's some statues up here. Since I really like these ones. They just look really nice. I just want to be able to mirror them. Is my only thing right now. Because, yeah, my struggle in life right now is that my son doesn't want to go to sleep, and I can't start streaming until he's asleep. So big. Mostly because now my wife puts him to bed after I play with him for an hour or two. Could do something like interesting where like the statue's in the water too. Would be interesting. He's playing, but I am just watching on my phone. Oh, he's 2.5. Okay. My son turns 2 in April, so he's not that much older, actually. That's crazy. What? I mean, it's 11 there. Holy cow, dude. I know the feeling of, like, the not enough sleep and your kid doesn't want to sleep, because we've been there. We hit a phase where my son was up until 11 almost every night, and it was misery. It was a lot. But he doesn't play. Like, the later it gets, the more clingy and irritable he gets. And so it's not fun. You could definitely not stream with him awake. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, my son plays very well with it. Like, he can play on his own and do his own thing. And then it's like, as soon as he starts getting tired, he's like, he loses all independence. And he just like clings to my wife and is not a happy camper. And like, he has to go to bed. So he's like in bed by 7 or 7:30 these days, like going to bed. We've gotten lucky. We found a program that works out really well for us now until 2 weeks from now or a month from now when everything changes and he hates sleeping again. Because that's how that seems to go. It's just a constant cycle of back and forth. There's a funny video about that called Nap Time, Sleepy Time Formula. Uzin's just out there giving kids a little extra a hit to go to bed. Mine's 3 and he started going to bed by himself, but around midday he's rough. Dude, going to bed by himself? That's the dream. My son has never slept by himself. He sleeps in our bed because it's like, it's physically impossible. He will not sleep on his own. We would be up every hour on the hour putting him to sleep. Again and again and again. So he just sleeps in our bed because we had to give up. Couldn't do it anymore. It was like just mentally the most draining thing in the universe, trying to get up every hour. If you got lucky, you'd get 2 or 3, and then he'd wake up and you'd have to walk upstairs. We also don't have a bedroom on the same floor, so we have to go upstairs every time he wakes up, or we have to sleep upstairs, and yeah, it just doesn't work. He sleeps at around 12 or so. He does crazy stuff to stay awake, like pull his own hair. Dude, that's rough. Honestly, kids would be like so easy if they slept. Like, if I just said, you go to bed and you wake up you go to bed when I want you to go to bed, and you wake up when I want you to wake up, kids would be like the easiest part of my day. But it's the like, they get sick and they don't sleep at all, and then one day my son goes to bed at 7, and the next day it's like 8, and then he takes a 40-minute nap one day and a 5-minute nap the next and a 3-hour nap the next day, and you literally never know what you're going to get with him. It's just this constant cycle of who knows. But dude, sleeps at 12 is like, when does he wake up? Because my son goes to bed at 7 and wakes up at about 7:30. I would say we lay him down. So my wife and him read books at around 7, and then she watches the show while he goes to sleep, and then I go start stream, because at this point he physically won't sleep. I put him to bed for over a year and a half by myself every single night, and he literally was like clockwork. I was like the king of sleep time. And then one day he just decided I suck, and which is dad life, honestly. But he decided he would not sleep with me ever again. And so I can't get him to go to sleep unless it's just a nap during the day or something. So it's like, it's a struggle. There's the VUCA alligator statue that you can press into the water. Looks like it's swimming if you hide the bottom part. That's interesting. I wish they weren't the VUCA style. I just like this more like crisp look with the blocks I'm using is the struggle I have. But it might look good in the water though. Same time, my youngest is in a phase of crazy screaming and crawling in bed, so I'm on the floor. Dude, that's a struggle. My son fights sleep hard. And then the last month or so, it's been like everything turned around, and we've found out a routine. But the routine for me is at 6 o'clock, me and my son go upstairs and we go absolutely apeshit. It's like he's a 2-year-old, so we're just running around upstairs. We have like a floor piano that he can run on, and he loves like listening to it. And so he runs and screams and then jumps on the bed after running over this piano, and then we listen to music on our Alexa, and then we'll play golf and then baseball, and then we'll throw stuff all over the room, and we'll jump in the ball pit. And it's like, by the end of that, like between 6 and 7, it's like it's like my full workout for the day. So it's like we found a routine, but the routine requires me to like absolutely gas myself for an hour to hopefully burn enough of his energy that he'll at least go lay down with my wife and read a book to then maybe fall asleep. But it's a struggle sometimes. But there was a phase where he would literally, this was like the epitome of what was so miserable, is we would put him in his room, we'd lay there with him. I laid with him for a long time. And then he'd have to hold your hand. And so he would hold your finger as tight as humanly possible, and then he'd finally fall asleep. And then he would, you'd know, like if you pulled your finger just like a millimeter, if he like tightened it back up, you knew he wasn't asleep yet. But otherwise, if he like loosened it up, you could do it. But if the floor creaked, if the door squeaked at all, if you even touched the wall, like he would instantly wake up, and then it would be another 40 minutes of putting him back down. And it was this cycle of like 30 minutes, he's asleep, make a noise, put him back to bed, 30 minutes, he's asleep, get up, and then it's just like this over and over cycle. Yeah, I was just like losing my mind. And then we talked to our pediatrician, and she's like, yeah, you guys just have to go to war for the next like 4 to 6 weeks. So you're going to lay with him, and then for 5 minutes, and then you're going to get up and either leave the room for 5 minutes and come back, or you can move away for 5 minutes from the bed, and then you move a little further away after 5, and then a little away till you're at the door and he's comfortable. If we left the room, he would go scream at the door, and he would scream so hard and for so long that he would make himself throw up. And then at that point, you've lost the game, because he now knows that he can just scream until he throws up, or he figured out if he poops his pants and poops his diaper, then we have to change it. And so he would just sit there and squeeze and try to make himself go to the bathroom until his face would turn like purple. And then you finally just have to give up, because he's going to pass out. Like he's going to give himself a hernia. He's trying so hard. It was just this most ridiculous battle with this like 2-year-old that just was agony. Such agony. 8 o'clock's not bad. But my son goes to bed at, like, I'd say most nights right now, he's asleep at between 7:30 and 8. He's asleep, and he sleeps until about between 7 and 8. A normal morning is probably about 7:15 is when he gets up. I'm like, we get 12 hours at least, but like 12 to 8? Ugh. I need that extra time to myself. My oldest son started sleeping 12 plus hours at 8 weeks. It was shocking and was awesome. Second son is paying us back. Yeah. See, my son was like a combination of that, where we didn't even get a second kid to pay us back. My son was like, the first 4 weeks, he was pure contact, or it was probably like 2 months. He would only sleep on someone's chest. You could not set him down no matter what, unless it was like the middle of the day. Like he slept amazing during the day, but at nighttime, someone had to be holding him. So it was like we literally took shifts. And then out of nowhere, he slept through the night every night. I'd put him to bed at 7 o'clock, and he would sleep until 8 in the morning every day. It was bliss. It was incredible. And then it just like every week got worse and worse and worse for a year and a half. It just got worse and worse and worse, and like just more and more miserable every day. It just was so bad. And then out of nowhere, we found this semi-working program where every once in a while it doesn't work great, but for the most part, we're surviving now at least. Mine's so tall he could reach the door super early, and now we have crazy exterior door locks. Oh my gosh. Luckily, my son has no clue how to open the door yet, but that sounds miserable. Ugh. The sleep part. Honestly, if kids slept, they'd be so much easier. Because that's all I need. I don't mind the chaos and the screaming. I pretty dang patient for the most part, but when I don't get any sleep, that is when life gets rough. If I'm not getting enough sleep, I become a not nice person. My wife and I both are people that like our sleep. That's been by far the hardest thing. Doors are a new thing to deal with. Ugh. You want to know one thing I didn't think I was going to have to worry about? My son just eats dog food. Like every time he finds a piece of dog food on the ground, because I have a 100-pound Bernese Mountain Dog and a miniature poodle mix, and they are pretty good at eating all of their food all the time. But every once in a while, one of those pieces of kibble sneaks out, and that kid snatches it up off the floor so fast, it's insane. So that's been my new struggle every day, is stopping my child from inhaling dog food. Other than that, he's pretty good. He is in the no phase, though, where everything is no. He does not give a crap anymore. If you ask him anything, he's saying no. Whether it's funny or whether he's just pissed off, he's just saying no. His favorite word right now. So that hasn't been very fun either. And the struggle is he's the cutest freaking thing in the world. And so it's like, how do you punish that? How do you punish this little thing? And you look at him and he's laughing at you while saying no. And I'm like, well, I hate that you're doing that, but did you have to be so cute when you did it? It just makes me feel bad. My grandma used to have to hide the milk-bone dog treats because my mom and her brothers would eat them all. Yeah, that's exactly what my son would do. Little maniac. Dude, he loves it. Like, it's the weird part about it is he's like, crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Like, he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world that he's eating dog food. And he likes it. I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, that's just disgusting to me. Like, it's so gross. I'm not someone who likes... I'm picky enough as it is, so like dog food and stuff is just like grosses me out. Not that the dog food we feed him is like necessarily bad or anything, but just the idea of eating my dog's food and enjoying it. Or just like all paper and cardboard products he eats right now. That kid gets 90% of his fiber from eating paper. Because it's like we have little flashcards with like planes and boats and whatever, like just random objects on them, and all of a sudden like you turn around for a second and he's eating a corner off of it like it was nothing. You get a FedEx box or something, you turn around for a second, he's ripping off the corners and eating them like every day. Something that I've been told was they don't know what no means yet and are testing it out. Oh, 100%. The thing is he knows. He knows what no means at this point. Like, he absolutely knows. Because he thinks he uses it in, like, sarcastic, funny ways. Where he's like, no, and he runs away. But then he also knows when he doesn't want to do something, he just starts screaming no because he knows. He's still figuring it out, but man, it's rough. He's waiting for you to get curious enough to try it. Ugh. I will never get curious enough to try my dog's food. I'm good. Probably move that back one, and then it would like perfectly fall down into there. I don't know if I really want this to like fall into the stuff out here. But if it just conveniently goes back into the earth, then that makes total sense. Jank water you got going on here. This is why I need a vertical pillar of some kind. or terrain blocks. I'm sure there's a more efficient way I could do this, but it's life. Is what it is. Alright, that'll be interesting. No, I mean, it looks ugly right now, but I think the idea is that it's starting to come to life. We're getting things figured out. You went to sleep a little early again, so I'm going to head out. Thanks again for the great stream. That's perfect timing, because I was just about to say I'm going to call it here. I was just going to jump over and look at this stuff. Get a quick little glimpse of what we built and where we're headed. Oh, yeah. This is going to look freaking awesome, dude. Not everyone has the vision that I have in my head quite yet. I think some of you probably figured it out from some of the images I've shown, but man, I think this is going to look freaking so cool when it's done. There's going to be so much detail and stuff once we get it all figured out. I'm really excited about it. It'll be fun. But I'm going to call it here. Appreciate everyone hanging out. As I had mentioned earlier in stream, I cannot stream Friday. We're going out of town and staying with my brother-in-law and helping them paint their new place and hanging out with their kid. So I will catch everyone Monday. I'm assuming I probably can't stream tomorrow, most likely anyways. Thank you, White Mare, for the follow. Appreciate that. So yeah, probably won't be here. I won't be here Friday. Most likely will not be tomorrow because I'm gonna have to pack for the trip. So most likely I will be back Monday, but I'm gonna bring all my drawing stuff with me for the weekend. So when we have downtime at night, I can work on this layout. And so hopefully Monday, I should have a much better idea of what the rough layout of this castle, and then from there we'll just start going crazy. Because I'm getting really excited seeing some of these details. That's why I spent as much time messing with this stuff, because I want to see. Once I start seeing things come to life, I get really excited, and that's what pushes me forward to like huge productivity. So I'm getting excited. Hope everyone else is too. I know it's been a slow process getting this all laid out, but we'll once I got the layout in my head a little bit figured out, a little bit of the floor plan designed, I think we're gonna like bust this thing out and start making some really cool stuff. But otherwise, I will catch everybody on Monday. Hope you guys have a great weekend, great Thursday and Friday as well, and I will see you on the next one.